Yo, 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 yo. What it is, we is back. Hit that like button. We gotta get focused, man. Gotta get back focused, y'all. We gotta start uploading more videos. We gotta start going live more. We need more support, more super chats, all of that. Gotta get back more focused, man. Doctor, what it is? I gotta get a new car, y'all, so we gotta run it up. More uploads, more lives, more support. Same way it's gonna work. Kid, what's up, baby? Got Kid in the building. Shalonda in the building. What it do? Yo, so we ready to start going live when I get off work. Like I used to. Okay, I gotta turn it up. I've been slacking on my YouTube. I can admit. At one point I was doing 2-3 uploads a day. Got lazy, started doing all lives. Oh man. Sorry to hear that, Al. That's rough, man. I had to bury my dog a couple years ago. That was a hit. That was a hit. But y'all, have y'all seen? I'm sure y'all seen it. Yo, but yeah, I love what T.I. and them is doing to 50 Cent right now. I love it. I love it, y'all. Yo, they is beating T.I. They is beating 50 at his own game. At his own game, yo. I don't think it's amazing to me the amount of people that support 50 and all his fuckery. You know what I'm gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna do a video detailing all the beefs that 50 Cent had in the course of his career. All the black men that he had issues with. Y'all have never heard 50 Cent say anything against any other group of people other than black people, man. No disparaging remarks. You feel me? Yeah, but I love what T.I. doing. No, yo, I'm talking about just the not even I ain't even you know, we take that element out of it. Take the age element out of it. Yo, we know what 50 is. We know 50 is a troll. We know 50 is a fuck boy. He tries to carry himself with some level of integrity. You feel me? But I'm just loving how they are coming in defense of their mother, yo. The whole family. Like, this is really the family hustle, man. Remember T.I. and them did the family hustle on MTV or whatever station that was on, BET, whatever it was on? Yo, this is a prime example of the family hustle. Because they is fucking 50 Cent up right now. Fucking him up at his own game. And I love it, yo. I don't think he was prepared for this, you know. I think that he thought he was just gonna go at T.I. But hell no, man. The whole family just jumped in that shit. Damani, Lil King, and they doing their thing, yo. And I'm ready to play all their songs. We just going to take it out on the replay. Hold on, let me put some tags in this video. And I want to show y'all what I want to show y'all what Black Child had to say about 50. In that last video I did, that shit got a lot of people upset, man. Why are people upset about that video? Why are people upset that I said that I like the fact that Nick Shirley was escorted out of Baltimore, man. It's amazing to me. Is that many people upset about that? Even black people. Yo, black people have a serious hate and disdain for each other. Some of us. Not all of us, y'all. But it's a lot of black people that have, I think 50 Cent is one of them. Actually, bring it back to 50 Cent. I think 50 Cent is one of them ones that has a serious disdain for his own race. He views his own race as the enemy. I just want to get some tag. I want to know what it is, y'all. Make sure you hit that like button and share it live, y'all. I'm just trying to get the tags in this video real quick. What's up, Major Baby? It's a few things. It's a few topics I want to touch on, y'all. But we gotta step it up though, y'all. We ready to start going live more. We need more support. We need more super chats. Then we gotta go on like a 90-day run. Cause I ain't getting that car fixed. It's too expensive, yo. BMW's too expensive. And I think with the miles I done put on there over the course of the years, it's ready to start running into a lot of problems. So we ready to try at least get upload every other day, go live every day, and we ready to just turn it back up, yo. Cause I've been slacking, man. Straight up, man. See, he's got the transmission fixed. Vic, what it do, Vic? All right, so let me show y'all what T.I. Kids has been doing. Man, a major. They want $5,000 to get my power steering pump fixed. 5 bands. I'm not doing that. Yeah, Volkswagen parts kind of expensive too. But I ain't gonna lie, that BMW shit, man. See, when I bought the car, I was living a different kind of lifestyle. You know what I mean? So money was coming in crazy. But now I'm working, it ain't coming in like it was. You heard me? Yeah, man, I ain't predict the future. Hold on, 50 Cent. All right, so Lord Dirk motion got denied. Not Dirk motion, but the motion to sever got denied. So which means Dirk trial has been pushed back to August. They trying to break these boys, man. They trying to get one of them boys. They trying to get one of them boys to break and cooperate. That's what it seems like is going on in Dirk case. It looks like in Dirk case, yo, they not ready. The state, I mean, United States government is not ready to go to trial, and they hoping they can prolong it, till somebody crack and fold. That's what's going on in Dirk case, y'all. This is another delay tactic that the federal government been using. If you remember, Dirk supposed to went to trial in October of last year. So they got postponed from October. Then they put it in February. It got postponed in February. Then they put it in April. It got postponed in April. Man, them boys ain't got no case like they say they got. They trying to prolong, get somebody to take a plea deal. But let's get the 50 Cent. Old 50. Hillary Clinton got deposed today. Did y'all see this, y'all? Baltimore City officer involved in 2 fatal shootings since June. Yo. Nah. Yo, 2 fatal shootings since June? And he just came back. Look, listen, let's read this. Listen to this. Let me read this, y'all. Baltimore City Police Department officer Omar Rodriguez, sounds like a foreigner, that they want us to go here and risk our lives for, has been involved in 2 fatal police shootings since June, according to officials. The Independent Investigation Division, the IDD, is investigating the most recent shooting, which occurred on February 24th in Baltimore. In that case, the IDD identified the man as 37-year-old Dwight Hawkins of Baltimore. The officers involved were Officer Arthur Falk, a 6-year veteran, Officer Omar Rodriguez, a 7-year veteran, both assigned to the department's group violence unit. According to police, officers entered a liquor store and saw Hawkins, who they said appeared to be armed. Officers followed him outside and ordered him to show his hands. Hawkins allegedly ran. Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley said Hawkins pulled out a gun while running. The Attorney General officer said a handgun was recovered near Hawkins. However, Hawkins' family dispute the police account, citing witnesses and video that show he never pulled out a weapon. Rodriguez was one of 3 officers involved in the June 17, 2025 fatal shooting in Baltimore Upton neighborhood. In that case, the IDD identified the man killed as 36-year-old Bilal BJ Yusuf Muhammad Abdullah Jr., a neighborhood Arabber who sold produce from a horse-drawn cart. According to the Attorney General preliminary report, the encounter began after someone notified an off-duty officer via text. They believe Abdullah had a gun. Via text? That's the type of shit they got going on in Pennsylvania Avenue. Niggas is texting police officers. It's crazy. Wow. He must be a Fed informant. Y'all better be careful down that bitch. You got niggas texting the police. An officer in an unmarked cruiser later observed Abdullah near Pennsylvania Avenue wearing a cross body bag and believed he may have been armed. When approached, Abdullah allegedly walked away, then ran after shifting the bag to the front of his body. Police said a brief struggle followed. Investigators said Abdullah broke free, pulled out a gun from his bag, and fired, striking a veteran officer in the foot. Now, I remember this video, and he definitely pulled out the gun. But I don't know if it was just by reaction, or was he actually intending to shoot the officers? Now this is that. So this is the video from the other day. No, matter of fact, this is the video of the Arabber, the one I was just talking about, Abdul. We're gonna get to 50 Cent. So the other video is this one. God damn. Man, fatal shootings in Baltimore police done had in the last couple of days. Oh no, this the other shooting right here. Oh, he did have a gun in his hand. They should have just tossed that bitch, bro. He wasn't ready to shoot the police, though. Yo, for the most part, yo, people know that shooting at the police is a death sentence. Ain't too many people just trying to die out here, man. But I also understand as a police officer, you can't take that chance because you don't know these people. You couldn't see he had no. You couldn't see that he had no gun on him, though, man. Hold on, man. You can't see he had no gun on him, yo. In that video when he was in the store. Go back.
Let me see it. Let me see it.
Hold on.
Let me see it.
Can't really see he had no gun on him. Oh, probably from that little bulge right there, but that could be anything. Sunshine. Yeah. He got a little bulge in his pocket. That could have been money.
Let me see it. Show me it.
I hate when they do that, y'all. Like, if you already got the man on the ground shot, you still asking to see his hands. I think that is like, they need to like reconstruct that practice. Like, I don't understand that.
I got the gun.
Yeah, that's too graphic. All right, so let me 50 Cent, man. Yo, the King family, the Harris family, has been going in on 50 Cent. Going all the way in on him. Hold up. We're gonna play the diss tracks. We're gonna just take them out the video.
All closed eyes ain't sleep, and all these scares ain't easy. May I hibernate, don't broke.
What's up, Nick?
See the giant sleeping, shouldn't have woke. I don't know how many times I told him. But please hop up on my shoulder.
I don't
Because
know.
you can't agree me with a big red boy. Strongest for the longest I've been there, boy. I've been in my city, no
Hey, yo, it been paperwork on 50, y'all. I'm gonna show you. Hold up.
And I ain't number 3, what you getting there? I know the way you're trying to pretend that the king won't get a sledgehammer for an insect. Listen now, build this pro boy, wouldn't exist. Got a concrete crown, boy, this shit don't even fit you. Big dog talking little shit, zoo. Come on, now you say you outdid who? Better settle down.
Now look, like on the whole on just a main tip, yo, 50 Cent can't hold a light to T.I. T.I. took care of all his kids, man. Yo, 50 Cent don't take care of his kids. From what we understand, from what we know, you know, from the outside, just, you know, just based off of being a man, T.I. is way more of a man than 50 Cent is, yo. Like, we ain't never seen 50 on no shit like this. Has anybody ever seen 50 take a family picture? With all his kids, his grandparents, or any of that.
Know the dog before you hit it down. Did a disc record, better hit it now. I turn your head around. Or the cap nigga better get a gown. The only place you hit is in the ground. Put it on my soul. Boy, I ever had a record so too low. I used to get it up the stove. A nigga been gold. Been pulling up in foreign cars with the first fucking R&B star. Oh, you niggas want war. All closed eyes ain't shit.
Man, he been going in on this nigga, man. Whatever verse at. Then that was the first verse. The second verse, he really did him bad.
Big dog, how we get it bread. I ain't never scared. What inspires me most as an artist?
Hold on. Look at Zip still dick sucking.
We are gardeners.
He said King. Yeah, who he snitch on?
Cook up, look, Caleb. Did a nigga y'all scared of, man? Man, fuck this Lego head ass nigga, man. Ain't nobody studying this fuck nigga, man. King, finally got the right one. Roll some, light one. That's how I eat that.
And it's all hard a little bit.
Night come. I don't like guns. I walk up on them nice, son. Think he Tyson. Nigga, you ain't tough as my son. Ain't no fear here. Bitch, I'm a king and you a duck, you got no peer here. With smoke, you get your fair share. You wouldn't dare stare me in the eyes and move your dick sucker. Say that shit you say with your thumb, boy, you's a big sucker. To me, you just a small man in a big shell. Bitch made ass nigga need pigtails. You take no issue with them white boys. It's only high people that you find to be an eyesore. Huh?
Yo, it's crazy, yo, that so many people noticing that. I think Dame Dash, the one that brought that to light about 50. Yo, 50 only come after black people, man. That's it. Like, yo, it's nothing honorable about 50 Cent, yo. He not even funny at this point. At this point, what he's doing is egregious. And when you look at the history of 50 Cent, he always been moving this way.
Duck and smoke, you won't even stand up for a legacy. I guess it cause he see a shit to fight for. Hey, listen, man, this shit ain't gonna go how you think it is. Down here we'll strip you out that shit, leave you with rabbit ears. And you ain't the only one with grime before you had a deal. You think you special, end up somewhere pushing daffodils. Nigga, you got less talent, you're less attractive, more average. You ain't got more motion, you just moving where it led traffic. You moved out where it rapping and they gave you a DMX pack. You ain't that savage, nigga, you 5-0 dispatch. Oh, finna did, nigga, all mad. Puff, let your bitch have it. Gave her tartar sauce and mustard like a fish salmon. And goddamn it, if this nigga want drama, I'm not landing. Once it's up, I'm not landing. Truces is outlanding. Cause you're not that nigga and you're not that rich. Trying to stun on everybody with them white folks. Finally got the right one. Roll some, light one. That's how I eat that. We're having for the night come. I don't like guns. I walk up on them nice, son. Think he Tyson. Nigga, you ain't tough as my son. Ain't no fear here. Bitch, I'm a king and you a duck, you got no peer here. With smoke, you get your fair share. You wouldn't dare stare me in the eyes and move your dick sucker. Say that shit you say with your thumb. Boy, you's a bitch. They say boo boo, bring your bitch ass outside, play in the street. You ain't no motherfucking gangster, you just pray on the weak. Man, all you do is talk shit and hope it stay on the net. Play detective, catching killers on some police shit. Grown men making meme, that's a weird ass flick. Kicking nigga while they down, you a sucker for that. Having a moment, hate to let that nigga inch in my life, but I give his ass a case to solve by the mentioning my wife. You hate women, get that why you can't keep one. You can't love them, cause from your mama you receive none.
Damn.
You know you rather set fires to houses with babies in them. I got paperwork from niggas in prison, your name is in them.
Damn.
Journalism, he saying, I guess I'm venom. Morals won't break up in them. New Yorkers, you gon' defend them? This your king, huh? He been a victim from the get-go. Murder Inc. pumped his ass full of bullet holes. Cam did him like a hoe on the radio. Took losses from Rick Ross and Fat Joe. Jada spanked that baby thinking it's sweet. Kanye stood up to him, made it first week of defeat. It always happen. Too much yapping, niggas slapping your cheek. So what the fuck you think gon' happen out here playing with me? You got the right one. King!
Yo, they is fucking 50 up, yo, and I love it. I love it. I ain't gonna lie, every fucking second of it. Hold on, let's go to Lil King. Go to Lil King.
But before me and my bitch get married, she gon' have like 7 rings. I'm a baller, baby. I'll splurge on you, that ain't a thing. At first I put her on some planes and now I put her on some jets. Yeah, in the middle of the ocean, on the jets. No, she wet. They think a Corvette is a foreign. You can tell that they life boring. I was fucking bad shit at 16. That's a life a rock star touring. Niggas diss, I ignore. But my angels, they go for 'em. Niggas speaking on my mama, I tell chairs, ring the alarm. Niggas pussy, probably cross his leg and fucking fold his arms. Every nigga that play them bit the dust, my angels, lucky charms. Yeah, I'm fly than a falcon, but rocket gold just like a saint. But before me and my bitch.
Hold up. This the video right here.
Niggas diss, I ignore, but my angels, they go for 'em. Niggas speaking on my mama, I tell chairs, ring the alarm. Niggas pussy, probably cross his leg and fucking fold his arms. Every nigga that play them bit the dust, my angels, lucky charms. Yeah, I'm fly than a falcon, but rocket gold just like a saint. Still rep the ATL, but from that south, can't no one say I ain't. I had the mafia slide, they'll shoot your shirt up till that bitch catch flame. He tried to kill your boy, but killed my Tesla, he ain't hit a thing. Yeah, I could spend 100,000 if I want with Johnny Dang, but I my money in some stock shit, I don't care about no change. But before me and my bitch get married, she gon' have like 7 rings. Yeah, I'm a baller, baby. I'll splurge on you, that ain't a thing. Tell that boy play with some safe. It's like millions in this safe. Think I'm stupid, bitch, I'm smart, I'll get it done without a trace. Went from wine to OG wine, but by the fam, I make shit shake. He just want beef up on that net. I know that boy won't pop a grape. He tryna trick me out the streets. Niggas diss.
Hey, yo, the whole family going in on this nigga, man. They ain't even done with him.
I don't need sleep this low, but nigga talk about my motherfucking mama, yeah, stuff. I don't care how this shit go, you did. Yeah, how dare you talk about mamas? Yeah, your mama in the grave, yeah, dig her up, they put her under. Talk about mama, bitch, I'm on that, fuck the static, I want thunder. Say we thuggin' pressure, bitch, you ain't the only one with commas. Since you trolling, let's get petty. Ace shots, bitch, we ready. Yeah, I seen the black and white, you call the police, tell the business. You can talk that shit inside, but when you come outside, be ready. I don't know about what's gon' happen, but I know that karma dead. Timmons Jackson, that I'm sorry, but I don't know why the fuck your son would even get me started. I asked God to visit hell to start the hell that Curtis started. I been shunned for my son, but since a jet, I've been cold-hearted. Raised and risky for my mama, so this shit can't disregard it. Like my flow, bitch, I'm retarded. Tell the police that I'm capping, I'm just rapping, I'm an artist. Ain't the type to start no shit, but type to finish when they started. Keep it gangsta, kids and women, ain't supposed to be no targets. Bitch, I'm from that south, yeah, I ain't going out for nothing. Shot that boy 9 times, they should've shot him once right in his mouth. Nigga really mad, cause Diddy fucked the bitch that he was cuffing. She was touching on my pops, that shit on camera, look like she loved it.
Now look, Damani is the one that really eated him. That Sorry Miss Jackson song Shorty put out, that bitch a hit. Yo made a hit off of 50, yo. Hold up. Yo made a hit, y'all. It's a hit right here, y'all. That's his mother.
Miss Jackson, am I overreacting or is it valid? I wanna have a one-on-one convo about it, man. You sacrifice your life for so the world could see his talent. He's a legend now, I guess it worked out, but I need some answers. Are you happy with the way he been holding your family name? I need to know, cause I can't sleep at night thinking you died in vain. I think it got to him. People won't tell him because he pay him. The emperor's new clothes to tell, we need to tell. We failed too many times from shells or either jail. Cats got 9 lives, one more will ring the bell,
That's a
and I
hit,
don't
bro.
wanna do it. Reason I came to you, I'm hoping you could talk me through it. Maybe it's something that you could tell me, bring some understanding. I'm more level-headed than the people headed to his mansion. I hope you know it's time sensitive. I think he really was a little confused, but I won't mention it. Pardon me if I'm digging it, hate to have you reliving it. You supposed to be resting, but just a few questions. Do you whisper in his ear before he makes his decisions? Can he hear you past the nervous laugh he do when he timid? And is he really happy? Talent took the backseat and gimmicks led to the actual business. He used to be something. We thought it was a joke, but now we see it's something off with him. I offer him a chance to reunite with you, and I'll do it. Nothing left to do, so I just send him to you, Miss Jackson.
Yeah.
Hey Curtis, I encourage you to do a little research on my whole family, but you can start with me first. I know you're not familiar with a mother or a father. Maybe that's the reason easily you'll talk about them. Maybe that's the reason you be targeting the women. Let somebody try your mama, bet you probably want to kill them. Speaking of killing, Curtis, I heard you was a firebug. Well, I'ma be the reason all your fans put their lighters up. Put your lighters up if you've dealt with abuse. Put your lighters up if you're no longer enthused with a nigga running around profiting off our pain. Love it when we fall down, that's when Curtis gets paid. Now put your lighters up if you too want the truth. Many men sin but don't profit like you from it. You don't even drink but you'll fake it for the news coverage. Seem like you know 50 Cent more than you know you, Curtis. Goddamn.
Damn.
I think you went too far to stop now. I got a little more information you could jot down. Firebug, I could still smell the gasoline on you. Firebug, at least let them sleep before you cremate them. Firebug, ironic you not hot as what you used to be. Firebug, and I'm the one delivering your eulogy. Firebug, don't let him put his lighter up. The next time you miss a mama, I could send you right to her. Try your luck. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
Hey, yo, they fucking 50 up, man. The whole family, yo. Man, sleep to them boys, man. They fucking 50 up, yo.
Yeah, pussy. Hey, say,
And T.I. dropped another diss track.
man, I just woke up, man. See, you got
50 can't do nothing, yo. All he ain't rapping. Yeah, man. All he can do is post memes. They fucking yo up, man. That's what the fuck he get. Look, that nigga back posting about motherfucking power book. You feel me? That nigga went back to post about power book, man. Yup. All this started because 50, T.I. was trying to do a versus with 50. And I did a video on Amazing. I did a video on how all this shit started. But let me go to Cam Capone. Cam Capone, Black Child. Black Child said 50 Cent is a racist.
Okay, now the other situation that just recently happened, it's crazy to think that this beef been going on so long. Like you said, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy. But Josh just had another situation at the concert where they say he got jumped. I'm
So
not
niggas,
really sure
you
what
know,
happened with that.
That was a situation when tried to pop off on him. Niggas tried to pop off on Ja, right? That's another dick rider niggas. It's a lot of dick rider that's like 50 may have did business with, so they feel a sense of loyalty. They feel like they gotta inherit his beef because he done threw them a bone. So it's like are selling their souls, or like, yo, good looking out. You put me on, I'm a ride or die. But they forgot about the season when they had to run around with bulletproof vests on when it was 80 degrees weather on. What about that season? It's too hot. The
I
weather's
know,
too
man.
nice.
50, he
Them
brought him
niggas
back to
don't want to
life.
have to start putting on their bulletproof vests again and running around in this nice weather, you know what I mean? And all that. Nobody's
Now, if you
trying
don't
to
know,
live
Black
like
Child is the one that was accused of stabbing 50 when Murda Inc. and G Unit got into it. They see Black Child the one that stabbed 50, supposedly.
that no more. So it's really best to fall back and just chill, because they don't realize, like, when you ain't have
Yo, 50 is a fuck boy, yo. Like, that's really like, yo, I don't know what's wrong with him. Like, I don't get him. I don't. Like, it's a lot of the things 50 is doing is past trolling. It's past trolling, man. And he only targets his own people. It's like you would have thought, like I said in that video, right? You would have thought, yo, as long as 50 have been in the industry, I'm sure he have rubbed shoulders with a lot of people, done business, good business and bad business with a lot of people. But he only expose or try to show up his own people. That's all he ever does, yo. We ain't got, it's no videos if 50 is saying something negative about anybody else outside of a black person.
with somebody beef, it's a lot that come with it. You know what I mean? That shit ain't no game. Like, innocent people could get hurt. You got executives that work with some artists that may just be there and shit go down and they don't got nothing to do with this shit and somebody get hurt. So they need to stop playing them games, because you got these corporations doing business with, right? And this shit is a business, first and foremost. This ain't no street shit. So you need to stop playing games, because if it was really street shit, something would have been happened. It's been 20 years. You know what I mean?
I hear you, for sure. What all happened with that situation? So did he get jumped? Did he not get jumped?
Like, he didn't get jumped. They tried to swing on him. You know what I mean? And he moved, and then a whole bunch of crowd security jumped in and in between them and separated them. So it wasn't really an incident that really got to transpire.
Was Fat Joe there?
I don't know if Fat Joe was there. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? I don't know if Fat Joe was there. He may have been there. I know it was at a Brandy and Monica concert.
They were saying that 50 was like part owner of the concert, and that's how he got all the information, and the jaw wasn't there.
It's people that he affiliated with, that he do business with, you know, that was there. We know what time it is. We could go hunting and start looking for to be, but ain't on it like that. We trying to chill. See, it's the thing like this. When I look at 50, I look at 50 as 50 is like a racist. You know what I mean? He's a racist because it's like he hate black men. You know what I mean? Nah, this shit ain't funny. It's the truth.
Yo, just think about that. That is a bold statement. Yo said 50. Yo equated 50 to being a racist who hate black people. Like, yo, for a person to even allude to that being your character, yo, that gotta have some type of credibility to it. That's not something a person to just say. You understand? That's like calling a nigga a rat or saying a nigga fucking with boys in the joint. You feel me? Like, ain't nobody just gonna put that on your name, yo, if it ain't no type of, you know, what's the word? Questions surrounding it. You feel me? Yo, that man called 50 a racist against black people, yo. And I think I might agree. Based off his history, something is wrong, yo. Like, it ain't just trolling. It ain't funny, like people think. It's something wrong. Like, what's really up with you, shorty? Why do you spend so much time attacking your own people? Now, y'all know me. I get on black people, too, just the sellouts. But I also get on other people. 50 has no history of saying anything negative about anybody outside of a black person.
You know what I mean? He's a racist because it's like he hate black men. You know what I mean? Nah, this shit ain't funny. It's the truth, man.
Yeah, that's not me laughing.
You know what I mean? Some people may find it funny, man. Some people may find it funny, but it's not funny. It's sad, actually. You know what I mean?
Is sad.
If you look at some of the shit that he been through, if you look how he do Ghost, he ain't do Tommy like that. You know what I mean? He getting beef with Game, right? He don't talk about Eminem like that. And this is not, I'm not racist. I got a lot of white friends, you know what I mean? But if it was a white artist doing that to other black men, we'll be able to call it out and say, hey, he's racist. But because it's 50, we can't say nothing when he's tearing down our other black men, successful black men. You know what I mean? Hated Floyd Mayweather. If you look at the history of, it's like successful, only successful black man 50 is really cool with is probably like Tyler Perry. He modeling himself behind Tyler Perry right now with the film studio and things of that he's doing. But it's like, come on, man. You tearing down our black men. You're doing a documentary about Diddy. You know what I mean? Because of the situation with his child, the mother of his child. A lot of people know this inspired from that. This ain't just like you trying to be, bring awareness to people that's been victimized in sex trafficking. He said he was going to donate some money to him. We ain't hear nothing about that. You know what I mean? Do you really care about the victims? Or are you just doing this for financial gain? Or is it revenge, self-motivated? So when we look at it, it's a pattern of how he does things. You know what I mean?
What's up? This is Ken.
Yeah, we got it's a lot to talk about for real. Oh. Queso court 10 years. Yo, this guy's a cornball, yo.
I heard street niggas get tough.
Yo, he might be the biggest cornball online right now. Like, look at this nigga, yo. Yo, look at this guy, yo. What the, like, yo, why do you got on so much jewelry? Yo got red locks with just look at just check him out.
These rappers like, hey man, something like this. For this spare time, let me tell you something. On Jesus Christ, nigga, on the Lord, nigga, on your ignorant ass mama, bitch ass nigga, you know goddamn where you or ain't now, nigga, in this motherfucker.
Man, he's a rat. It's paperwork on yo. It's paperwork on him. His nephew came out and said he got money from his mother insurance policy and his nephew's mother insurance policy. Ain't break nephew off nothing. And people still support y'all. Like, it's just, yo, I swear we living in an upside down universe, man. And these Jews ain't real. I wouldn't have bet my house on it that these Jews ain't real. You heard me?
Took shit from Hustle Cartel. If Hustle Cartel got robbed, it would have been breaking news, singing in on the scene.
And he also paid Finesse 2 times to hang around him. Yo gave Finesse 2 times $60,000 for Finesse to be his friend, yo. That's a red flag off the rip. I would have thought he was a Fed agent. If he'd have tried to pay me to hang with me, I'd have just took his money and told him roll out.
6 dead, 4 dead, 3 dead, whoever with you, dead. On the Lord, nigga, on Jesus Christ, nigga. Quit motherfucking playing me like I'm a motherfucking poop ass, nigga. You know how I'm motherfucking rocking. Nigga, I walk around with 1.7 million around my motherfucking neck. You hear me? 750,000, nigga. 250,000 in ring. That's $1 million right there. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nigga.
Yo.
Oh, Jesus Christ, nigga. I'm from the...
Who believes that, yo? Who in their right mind believes that he got $10 million on his motherfucking wrist? Yo, who the fuck believes this nigga got this guy right here? He probably ain't even made $10 million. He definitely got it on his wrist. right, babyface. What is it? Babyface 8156. He said that sure but he must have been a large amount. No, he got some of that money, and he probably flipped some of it. But his nephew broke.
Lord, nigga. Walking around with nigga 60 million on this motherfucking nigga. I should have been a motherfucking ice. Apple with all this motherfucking ice on my motherfucking neck. Cause nigga, I'm getting cold, hoe ass nigga. Yeah. You niggas on the internet playing, throwing subliminals, making up fake stories. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happened. 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was backstage. I had a backpack. I lost my backpack backstage. The next day, I went to the venue to get my backpack. Guess what? The backpack was gone. We was like in Chicago at a motherfucking show. I haven't seen that pendant in 5, 6, 7 years. If Hustle Cartel got robbed, it would have been a video. Niggas is chasing clout. It would have been proof in the motherfucking pudding. Now show me where the fuck you ever seen Hustle Cartel.
No, but 50 did respond. 50 responded. He just responded with memes. He ain't getting in the booth.
My first, that's a starter chain.
But he been responding.
If you getting happy off that motherfucking chain, get
Mr.
your
Cater,
rocks
what
off,
it do?
Niggas ain't took shit. That's a lost motherfucking pendant. Go find that bitch and get your mama a new car. You bitch ass,
You know I
Get
am.
that hoe out there, 96 Impala. Not that's a fucking. Now I'm disrespecting. Nigga, that's a 04 Impala. Matter of fact, let me tell you something. I said what I said. You niggas want to meet up and die about this shit? Meet up and fuck. Let's go die about this shit.
And yo, why is he acting like he a gangster? Yo, he is from like a small town in Texas where crime is not even a thing. Yo, why is he online playing gangster? Like, this is the thing that be tripping me about these characters that they got. Yo, why are you on here playing, bro? A motherfucker run down on you. And mind you, he walks around with security. So he's sitting there talking all this gangster shit. But got a fucking 10 bodyguards walking with him everywhere he go. To guard the fake ass jewelry. These guys are diabolical, y'all. Yeah, we gotta go to that what's the calm indictment too? FS Bender got indicted. Excuse me.
Get tummy tuck. Told you these rappers like, hey man, say.
What else I wanted to show y'all? Hey y'all, the feds and trap Big U too, man. Shout out to Byron Blake, man. The feds and trap Big U. That's what the fuck the feds did. They some dirty motherfuckers, man. And the feds can get away with entrapping people because they get away with whatever the fuck they do for real. Yeah. It's like yo, they get all the dishonorable people together and make them a fucking team. You got Hustle Cartel certified rat hanging with Glorilla's sister, who's a certified slime ball. Like, that is crazy. I wouldn't be nowhere near that car. Nowhere near it. The fuck Stephen A. say about LeBron?
We don't like each other, and the world needs to know that, but I don't talk about it anymore because I don't know how to, all I can do is put it to you this way. And I'll even say that I hope he's watching when I say this. Media, athlete, that's all in water sometimes. And I got that part. Did I think he crossed the line with the incident involving his son where he was telling me not to say anything? Of course I think, because I don't think I did what he said that I was doing. And I thought that was very, very unfair, and it was a low blow. Having said that,
yeah, but Stephen A. Smith said if you got a problem with him, he at the games, pull up. That's what threw me off about Stephen A. Smith and LeBron. Stephen A. Smith welcomed people to pull up on him if you had any problem about anything he say on ESPN. So LeBron presses him at the game, and he got an issue with it.
time heals everything. And as I see his career dwindling to some degree, meaning that he's not 31 anymore, he's 41. And Father Time is undefeated and all of this other stuff. It's important that everyone knows. I know how great he is. I know how great he has been for the game of basketball. And anybody who has been that great.
Now 50 not gonna respond rapping because 50 can't out rap T.I. You feel me? 50 can't out rap T.I., man. And he going against everybody. The whole family teamed up on him. 50 is gonna lose that. I think he understands that. Look at this nigga. I'm about sick of him, y'all. Yeah, I cannot stand this guy right here, y'all. Listen to this shit. Nigga, why these people think we dumb?
The Jewish people, we are the chosen people. The Jews are the chosen people, and it is so apparent when you're in Israel, the Jewish land, and you're with the Jewish people of Israel, how magical we are. That's biblical shit, okay? That's biblical. You can't debate any of that. I want to make sure everybody knows that the Jews are the chosen people. And that's no disrespect to anything or anybody else. But the Jews are the chosen people, and Israel is ancient Judean Jewish land. We, the Jewish people.
Yo, why these people keep playing, yo? Why they keep like, yo, come on, man. Do I even need to elaborate? These guys out of control, yo. I'm about sick of his ass. Get the fuck out of here, you dumbass.
This philosophy. The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King, so that Reverend Martin Luther King can continue to teach the Negroes to be defenseless. That's what you mean by nonviolence. Be defenseless. Be defenseless in the face of one of the most cruel beasts that has ever taken the people into captivity. That's this American white man.
Not integration. And we believe that you're a fool to try and mix with someone who doesn't love you. That doesn't mean that we in any way condone what those crackers are doing in Birmingham, Alabama. Our people should know that whenever you try and force yourself upon someone that vicious, he's going to go to extreme to show you that he's actually the dog that he is. Because it's the two-legged dog that controls the four-legged dog. And it is no accident that as long as the dogs were biting Negro women, Negro babies, and Negro children, Kennedy said nothing. It was only after the Negroes began to strike back. It was then that Kennedy called in the army. So don't you be fooled by Kennedy. Don't you be fooled by these Uncle Tom Negro preachers. When the dog attacks you, you get that dog, two-legged dog, or four-legged dog.
This is philosophy. The white.
I think my birthday was the other day.
Did you get arrested for this?
Yeah, me, Irv, and Chris got arrested. I had to turn myself in. You know what I mean? 50 gave a statement. Tony Yayo gave a statement. And, yeah, I seen...
50 gave a statement. Tony Yayo gave a statement.
Smurf. Did you interview Smurf?
Yeah.
Smurf kept 50 alive. 50 should stop playing and send Smurf his money.
Right. 50 ain't even... Her banging about Smurf was motherfucker protecting that boy. 50 ain't, man, banging about Smurf somewhere fucked up, man. 50 a slime ball, y'all. I don't see how people support y'all.
Was keeping 50 alive early in the war in the neighborhood when Smurf was talking about forming G Unit in the street. Smurf was right. He kept off 50 ass at the time. 50 did him dirty. You know what I mean? Another black man did dirty. This man protected you. He still don't talk dirty. Smurf still don't talk about dirty about 50, hoping 50 throw him a bone. He was talking about that it wasn't 50 or Yayo that snitch. He said it was one of them.
So Coley, why 50 not responding, man? Because he is responding. Yo, he can't. 50 didn't put himself in a situation where if he respond musically, it gotta be a banger. 50 to talk so much shit about everybody that he almost in a lose situation. If he rap back and it don't hit, yo, that might be the end of 50 troll career. You understand? You know, he had a rap career, now he got a troll / fuckboy career. That might be the end of it. That's why 50's not responding, yo. You understand what I'm saying? That's why he's not responding musically. It's not that he don't want to. It's not that it's not bothering him. I'm sure he read the comments. He see what's going on. He see people telling him to, man, get in the booth. But he can't.
Engineers and one of the engineers suit.
That was a run up. They ran down on them. I ain't going front. Murder ain't ran down on the homies. Yeah.
Did you get arrested for this?
Yeah, me, Irv, and Chris got arrested. These snitches become celebrity influencers and internet influencers. So you think people care? Oh, he's snitch. Oh, they gonna say, I don't care if this snitcher. If I could get on power, who gives a? You know what I mean? These snitches become celebrity influencers.
Okay, how did you guys beat the case?
He never came to court. In New York, out in a lot of states,
that's what it is,
you
man.
have a complaining, a case against a complaining
His
witness.
second career, yo, it's a troll / fuckboy. Yeah, man, that's the only way I can really explain it or describe it.
The witness has to come to court to corroborate the story. The witness has to come and say, yeah, it was him that day. He never came to court. You know what I mean?
I can see that too, Leisha.
At that time, he had how to rob off because he didn't have beef with just us. Remember, he had beef with or half the industry like he do now, separate New York. You know, he still ain't responding to Fab, but he's starting beef with Fab, Jim Jones. That separates the city. That separates the state. That separate. Now you gotta pick a side. Now you want to say, oh, yo, I with Fit, so I don't go over here. Or I with Fab, so I. And then now you got Fab, Jim Jones, Mano. You know what I mean? You got Dave East. Oh, that's 4, right? You beefing with you.
Okay, how did you guys?
All right, so, yo, listen to this argument. Hold on, let me just play this first. Queso just copped out to 10 years for Lil Bibby murder. That's crazy. 10 years. I mean, he must could have beat that case. This fella really fucked him. He probably could have beat that case on Bibby. They gave him a 10-year plea deal. And I know he already got life, but they could at least gave him 40 and ran it concurrent. They gave that man 10 years. That case wasn't that strong. Hold on.
Makes it worse seeing her son portrayed like this.
Queso, bitch, and you know we smoke little baby, bitch. Queso, bitch, and you know we smoke little baby, bitch. Queso, bitch, Glocks and Rugers, we be hitting shit. We flipping shit, don't run, we chase it down, we blitzing shit. We blitzing shit, don't be baby it out, we hitting shit. That shots little bitch, nigga never play with Queso. Right there, he'll make your face go.
What the fuck? That ain't it. Queso sentenced in Lord Bibby's murder. But they ain't even covered. See, that's how they do, y'all. When they get them little plea deals like that, they don't get that shit no light. Just swept it under the rug. What is this? Is no news coverage to it? And Mickey True dumbass. Yo, but I want y'all to listen to this argument by one of Julio Foolio alleged killers. Lawyer. I was watching this the other day. Yesterday, matter of fact. I'm gonna speed it up 'cause I think it's like an hour long.
Breaking news, police release footage of a recent theft from a
Yeah,
local
but
pet store.
they,
A dog just like yours
it
at
is a
home
waste of
after his
resources.
wellness whimsies dent.
But the
Those evidentiary issues,
10-year plea there was light.
by the way,
Like, what if he get his other life sentence back somehow?
Breaking news, police release footage of a recent theft from a local pet store. A dog just like yours at home after his...
That, again, pursuant to the schedule, Rashad Murphy, which would have been Friday morning, but now won't be Friday morning, number 10, is a motion in limine related to Chance and Gathright.
Here we go.
During the Foolio's attempted murder of October 7th, 2023, the defendant had no relationship to Tilly. Establish any relationship between Ms. Andrews and Mr. Murphy, Mr. Chance, and also as it relates to the prior attempted murder. Celebratory statements that occur post-murder that are allegedly made by Davion Murphy.
I mean, I'm just
at
saying.
one time attributed
He
to
probably won't give it back.
Mr. Rashad Murphy, and then an extensive amount of gang-affiliated evidence that materially differs in scope and
I'm
reliability
saying he left the door
and
open.
probative value as it relates to Mr. Chance and Mr. Murphy. I believe that there's a substantial risk
thought I shut this shit
that
down.
the jury will render a decision in this case and not be able to contextualize these inferences as it relates to that individualized proof. And I want to go over the types of evidence that I anticipate the state attempting to introduce. I'm going to dispense with a factual basis of the case. The court's well aware of the factual basis, although I will suggest to the court that the conspiratory time frame in this case is June 21st of 2024 through June 23rd of 2024.
And that's what's alleged in the indictment, correct?
Yes, Judge. I don't believe that there's any evidentiary link of any tie to establish any relationship between Ms. Andrews and Mr. Murphy, or Mr. Murphy and Mr. Chance, except in happenstance type circumstances. We're talking about historically.
They trying to get a severance. So what this is these guys trying to get separate trials. And I'll explain to y'all what that means. Basically, evidence that's introduced against one defendant can't be introduced against the other defendants. Now, Dirk and Didi and them try to get a separate trial too. They just denied that shit today.
First of all, Judge, there's evidence, as we talked about, of prior acts. And the motive, obviously, as the court's aware, is an ongoing gang war between two rival gangs, ATK and 1200 as one group, per se, and 6 Block.
The fuck you got on?
The allegation is that the defendant, Mr. Murphy, is affiliated with 1200. Co-defendant Chance is affiliated with ATK.
I think Alicia Andrews' case is going to get overturned. Keep an eye on that. I think her case is going to get overturned eventually.
Co-defendant Davion Murphy is associated with ATK/1200, and that the victim is affiliated with 6 Block.
Yeah.
To establish the nature of that gang war, the state intends to introduce a large volume of evidence that relates to a number of prior shootings and prior killings, most of which are unsolved, and none of which relate to the defendant. 2 of those particular prior acts are the October 6, 2023 murder of Antonio Tilley and the attempted murder of Foolio on October 7th. It would be my contention that there's no evidentiary link between Tilley's murder and Foolio's attempted murder, that the state intends to introduce testimony and argument that Foolio was shot in retaliation for Tilley's murder. It's anticipated that the state will utilize multiple detectives who they will suggest to the court, to the jury, are experts, regarding that both Mr. Gathright and Mr. Chance are suspects in Foolio's attempted murder of October 7th, 2023. The defendant had no relationship to Tilly or to Foolio for that matter, and there's no evidence that he was connected to either of those crimes or either of those offenses. And they are, in fact, especially Foolio's murder, attempted murder, unsolved to that extent. While Tilly was shot by Jacon Mills and another unnamed co-conspirator on the 6th of October 2023, he had been flagged as a member of ATK, and Jaquan Mills was not affiliated or documented in a gang. Law enforcement believes, and this is pursuant, everything I tell the court is pursuant to sworn testimony, which I've supplied to the court in the form of depositions at length of every one of these detectives.
I have them.
And to the extent that law enforcement in that sworn testimony believed that Tilly's death was a contract killing. And however, those underlying circumstances regarding those who are responsible are apparently still under investigation.
I was just ready to say that. Yo, they still investigating them boys too, man. So Young and Ace and all the rest of them boys is not out the woods. Hope they paying attention to these hearings.
And are largely speculative. Again, Julio's murder, attempted murder, is unsolved. To establish a link and to support the theory regarding
hit that like button, y'all. Say it loud. Subscribe.
Related to Chance and Gathright. During the investigation, there are forensic findings.
A dog just like yours at home after his wellness Whimsy's dental
thank
treats.
you. Whoever
Six
hit the like
primary
button.
ingredients
Appreciate
make up Whimsy's, and when chewed daily are proven to reduce.
Share it live, man. Let's get these 200 people on here, man. So we can, get the party going.
Became aware of.
Now let's sped it up a little
regarding
bit.
The attempted murder of Foolio in October 2023. In June of 2024, there was a search of Mr.Gathright's vehicle, wherein there were casings recovered from the scene of Foolio's attempted murder, presumptively matched to that firearm. There are communications between Mr. Chance and Ms. Andrews that the court is aware of regarding, or allegedly regarding, this particular murder. And essentially, in general, Chance tells Andrews that he needed to lay low for a while and asks Andrews to stay loyal. That is obviously part of the provided discovery and also Detective Ramos's sworn testimony and deposition. There are additional communications that the state intends to enter with regard to Mr. Chance's alleged involvement in other Jacksonville murders as well. The state also intends to introduce statements purportedly made by Mr. Chance in reference to his involvement in a prior attempted murder on Julio Foolio, and weeks prior to that charged homicide, and 8 months after.
Yo, we ready to start going live every day at 10, y'all. We ready to get back how we used to do it. How we used to do 11 o'clock. Live every day at 10, man. That way you ain't got to worry about no notifications, nothing. We ready to turn it back up.
Foolio was shot in 2023. Mr. Chance appeared in a video conversation
Monday through Friday
over Twitter or X, where he made statements to Foolio that is your foot okay, and he has bigger fish to fry. Again, Judge, as I lay this out for the court, I'm not suggesting that one, we can't get beyond. Two, we can't get beyond. It's this cumulative effect and how it is compartmentalized as to individual defendants as opposed to degree. I want to say at this juncture, too, that I'm talking about these things, and I'm going to argue this more after the state argues. This is a motion for severance. This is not a motion for inadmissibility or admissibility of evidence. We have motions for that.
Right.
The court
I know, y'all. That's why
severance
I said
is a different ballgame.
That's why I said every day at 10, we ready to start going live. That way we ain't got to worry about no notifications. Not every day. I keep saying every day. Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock, we going live. We ready to start that back up. Like how we used to do 11 o'clocks, we ready to do 10.
Severance is determined under different rules and under different law. And so I just make that point as I go through this, because I don't want the court to be bogged down simply because I'm talking about facts. I think contextually I need to give the court a full understanding, not only for the court, because I recognize it's a little different for you because you have been exposed to some of this already in a prior proceeding. But as it relates to the overall posture, you also were not privy to other parts of it that we're going to talk about today. And again, these shootings are unsolved. So in an attempt, again, to establish a connection between Mr. Murphy and Mr. Chance and the October 23rd shooting, which, again, is almost a year from Foolio's murder, and certainly far beyond the conspiratorial framework, the state also is going to rely on an Instagram message or an Instagram conversation where Mr. Chance says, had to switch it up, coming different in 2024, love you, brother. And it looks like Tilly and a Ghost 187 underscore are tagged. I hope I'm using the right words, because one thing I can tell the court, I am technologically not savvy, and I don't own social media of any kind. So,
well, we speak the same language.
Yeah, the crazy thing about this situation, y'all, is actually if they didn't use the cars that they used, yo, this case would have went unsolved. But being as though they used them cars and them cars traced back to family members and associates, that shit fucked them over tremendously. Like I don't see how. For one, I don't think this motion for severance is going to be granted. For one, but I don't even. And keep in mind, y'all, this is a death penalty case. This is not life in prison. The state is asking for the death penalty for these boys, man.
If I'm not using the right terminology. So in taking the deposition of Detective Nieder, his interpretation of this statement is Chance got upset with ATK and told them that they didn't get a get back for Tilly's murder, so he's switching up the family, and then he tags what Detective Nieder believes is Rashad Murphy's Instagram account, which that's another, okay, that is Detective Nieder's interpretation of that Instagram communication. So he doesn't say that this is based on any kind of coded language that is known. It's simply his own translation of this particular statement.
Remember when I was telling y'all in Dirt case about that coded language? Remember I was talking about that? Like what they never, even in Dirt case, they still haven't explained what coded language is. Like, what is that? And they're doing the same thing in this case. They call it coded language, but it's really just your interpretation of what this means. That's not necessarily saying this is what it actually means. It's just your personal interpretation. Yo, that's rocky, man. It's rocky.
So, Mr. Gonzalez, it'll help me as far as just doing the analysis on this, is to ask you this specific question, first of all. Obviously, if there's a Bruton problem.
There's not.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we had gotten that.
There's no antagonistic defenses. Okay. There's no Bruton problem. That's not what the state spends a lot of time talking about those things in their response, and I'll certainly hear them out. Those are not the issues. This is evidence admissible as to one defendant that is inadmissible to another.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there was no allegation of a Bruton issue. So instead, it would be the fallback that. So Brutons are obviously there's a Bruton problem. Obviously, there should be a severance. So then the next question would be whether severance should be granted, and this has to be based on a case-by-case basis.
Absolutely.
So you're going under the second prong, basically, of a severance.
Yes,
there's no Bruton, but based upon the totality of all the evidence, there should be a severance granted.
That's correct, Judge. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in the rebuttal.
Okay.
But you are correct. So next, Judge, category, if you will, is going to be physical evidence that is admissible against particular defendants, but absolutely not admissible against Mr. Murphy. Now, we're going to hear, inextricably intertwined, we're going to hear
that's that word. Motive. They use that in Dirt trial, which means that this evidence is so pivotal to our case that we almost can't move forward without it. That's always the state or the government's theory as to why they need to throw seemingly irrelevant evidence into a trial. They call it inextricably intertwined.
Okay, but at the end of the day, as it relates to severance, okay, on June 26th, a search was conducted of Mr. Gathwright's vehicle, and in that vehicle were a litany of an arsenal, okay, of firearms, of ammunition, of switches, of rifle magazines, rifle stocks, buttocks, pistol holders, all of those things. The state would like to admit that, and the state would like that not to spill over and trickle down to Mr. Murphy. So they also would like to suggest that a cell phone that was found there was a straight talk throwaway phone that Mr. Gathright is now using because he got rid of his phone that was used during the course of the murder. So we're developing the arguments that are going to be put forth with regard to this evidence if admitted. And I know there's also motions pending, are going to be motions pending on these issues as it relates specifically to Mr. Gathright. Now, understanding that the court's ruling on that, obviously, is very important as it relates to all the defendants, and in my particular case, Mr. Murphy. So, in paragraph 15, the state intends to introduce evidence linking Gathright also to the attempted murder based on shell casings that were found from that vehicle. So, shell casings from the attempted murder of Foolio, right, found in Gathright's car, are going to be used to attempt to implicate Mr. Murphy. Because it's inextricably intertwined? No. Because it's motive? No. Because that is evidence against Mr. Gathright. And in a joint trial, okay, that cannot come in against Mr. Murphy. So, moving on.
So your position...
Breaking news, police release footage of a recent theft from a local pet store.
Hey,
a dog,
and
just
to be
like
honest, they don't really have, based off the Alicia Andrews trial, right? They don't really have evidence on the cousins. Remember, they wasn't caught on video. They do got one of them driving through the drive-thru. I don't know which one it was. But one of them is driving through the drive-thru with Alicia Andrews in the car. But Alicia Andrews never said she even knew them guys. She never mentioned their name. Only name she mentioned was Isaiah Chance, which is her boyfriend. She really couldn't separate herself from him because it's her fucking baby father. But, so what this lawyer is attempting to do, and I don't think it's going to work, he's attempting to separate his client and the evidence that they got against the others. That's what his attempt is in this, in this hearing. Because they don't really have no evidence on him. He's not caught on video. He didn't own none of the cars that was driven.
Gathrights, either his car or his home, would not be admissible in a trial against your client, even though they are both charged as part of a conspiracy. Is that what you're telling me?
No, Judge. No, Judge. And again,
so that's yes. You agree with me? Your argument is
that is my argument.
Okay,
that is my argument. And first of all, again, the murder's over. The conspiratorial time frame is done. They're not. This can't come in under conspiracy theory.
Well, there no statements could come in, but you're saying the physical evidence couldn't come in either?
Nope.
Okay. Do you have case law that says that?
Judge, I will.
It's okay. Don't do it now. I don't want to interrupt you.
I know, but I want to write down.
Yeah, just make a note. I'm aware of the case law regarding co-conspirator statements are inadmissible once the conspiracy is finished. Those don't.
Now look, that is why, you heard what she just said? Co-conspirator statements is inadmissible after the crime is finished. Now we know why Marley in the Murph High, the D-Thing case in Chicago, that is the exact reason why that case was severed. Because the statements that AJ made to the federal informant in the cell was after the crime was committed, which means that whatever statements he made to him cannot be used against Marley. Y'all understand? Y'all get me? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Y'all heard what she just said? That's case law.
Come in post-conspiracy concluding, but the physical evidence not coming in is a different argument.
Judge, additionally, there are also casings found at that time that are tied to another homicide in May that occurred in proximity to the residence frequented by Mr. Chance. Again, this is evidence I expect the state to attempt to introduce. There is no evidentiary connection between those prior incidents, that prior offense, and as it relates to the prior attempted murder of Foolio, that is related to the defendant. None of the evidence that is seized from Gathwright's vehicle is connected to the charged offense. Okay? And that's particularly of note for the court. Likewise, none of the evidence is connected to Mr. Murphy in any way, shape, or form. Moving on, again, the court knows that Mr. Gathwright also had his residence, a search warrant done on his residence, and again, a large amount of firearms and ammunition were found, 2 AR-style rifles, which are equipped with brass catchers and spent 9mm casings. There's no forensic link between the rifles and the charged offense, and there's no connection of those firearms to Mr. Murphy. The 9mm casings matched casings that were found from the homicide scene. Law enforcement originally thought that they were fired from the same firearm, but after further analysis, they determined, or they thought that the same firearm was used, but at a different time. So they were able to count up the number of casings and determine that although they were a match, that casing was not used in the homicide. It must have been, the casing must have been, become from another usage. Okay? So because they were able to find all of the 9mm that would fill the magazine at the scene, which means anything that they would have found in Mr. Gathwright's home was not going to be connected to the murder scene. So that's an important fact, but they want to get it in anyway. And I believe, based on Detective Ramos's deposition, that's exactly what he's going to say. At the same time, Judge, there were search warrants done on Mr. Chance's residence, a 9mm Glock with an extended magazine, boxes of firearms, talking about switches in a notebook, and of course a switch meaning something that makes a semi-automatic an automatic weapon, even if it's not built that way. A poster of what's called Bully Down that was that was made by somebody, but in Mr. Chance's room, and essentially would be speculated on by Jacksonville detectives that is a perceived sign of disrespect to Julio. None of the evidence in Mr. Chance's residence had any evidentiary connection to the charged offense. To the extent that the state argues that the poster supports this underlying motive theory, the poster has no evidentiary involvement or connection to Rashad Murphy. Next category, Judge, of evidence is post-homicide statements. I know, and I won't, unless the state were to get up and say something different, there is a series of interviews and jail phone calls that that the court knows because you've read my motion, but the response might indicate from the state that it's not their intent to attempt to admit that evidence.
They've described it as impermissible hearsay.
I will. Bravo. And so to the extent that that doesn't, they don't change their mind or whatever from a tactical decision, decide that they want to try to enter it, I'll dispense with that argument. They do in their response, and again, I'm not arguing the response, I want to save that for later, but as it relates to celebratory statements by Davion Murphy, what they, and the court has read them, they make specific reference to celebrating, this is after Foolio's murder, on June 23rd, which is later in the day, after those early morning hours, and we expect that they are going to enter those statements to celebrate Foolio's death. For the court's knowledge,
a dog just like yours at home after his wellness Whimsy's dental treats. 6 primary ingredients make up Whimsy's, and when chewed daily are proven to reduce.
I remember this commercial last time when I watched this shit yesterday.
Mr. Murphy, Rashad Murphy, was not located in Tampa by way of cell site information.
That like button, y'all. That like button. Get the 50 likes.
Any forensic method, and essentially that phone, which is
the like button, y'all. Double tap the screen twice for me, please. I'd appreciate it.
Father of many other motions, is shared by his girlfriend. The way that these things happen, and certainly just as an example of what I talked about, is that law enforcement originally believed that those messages were sent by Rashad Murphy because why? He didn't have his phone, so he's using somebody else's phone. And certainly later, after corroboration from third-party witnesses, it was determined that that is not the case. And in fact, it was not Rashad Murphy that sent those messages. And I bring that to the court's attention because it is part and parcel about with what happens and what you can think and what you can believe and what you could be drawn to think if you're looking at things from an overview capacity. And I would
Thank you.
talk about this in again to a
10 more people tap the screen twice.
The next category of evidence, Judge, is gang affiliation. The central issue is going to be whether the state can establish the nature of the party's gang affiliation. None of the defendants admit to gang membership. There are no witnesses who will testify to personal knowledge of their purported affiliation. And that becomes important when we talk about case law and when we talk about other cases. Extremely important. Neither Andrews or Gathright are alleged to have any gang affiliation. As I stated earlier, defendant Chance was documented, that's another word in quotes, and certainly refers to statutory criteria, which, by the way, the jury needs to make that finding. Okay? The state is going to put some detectives on, and they're going to talk about what they did, and I think, we're going to talk about that in another motion, because I think that bears its own separate and complete argument. I'm digressing from severance, but I think it's important in terms of context. And I don't want the court to feel that these individual segments of evidentiary issues that I'm bringing to the court's attention take away from the fact that severance is different. The burden for severance is different. So, again, Mr. Chance documented as ATK on March 8, 2024, 3 months prior to the alleged and charged offense. And I go through.
He's bringing up a lot of arguments. They might grant some of this stuff, but ain't no way they grant everything. Like I can't. They might say that. I don't think they can say that. I think this might be all or nothing situation, because he's not really arguing the evidence, far as like singling it out as to say, if you're going to use this, can't use it against my client. He's saying you can't use none of this against my client. I just don't see the judge agreeing, man. We'll see how it play out, though.
You can read it. You already have read it. Read it again. That Mr. Chance is documented by law enforcement pursuant to statutory criteria, broadest criteria I think I might have read in any statute that's ever been passed by the legislature. But nonetheless, that's another story for another day. And it goes into those things that law enforcement use to designate or to document Mr. Chance. And those FIRs or those documentations are exhibits in the motion.
You're old as a bit.
It also talks about, again, I'd like to talk just briefly about the bully down poster that was found in Mr. Chance's house, constituting a diss or hatred toward Foolio. I anticipate, based on the depositions, based on the police reports, that the state's going to introduce evidence linking Mr. Chance to extensive gang activity. Activity that is associated directly with violent acts. Activity that, and listen, his counsel is going to have kind of the same arguments about how they go about getting that information. I'm just suggesting and telling the court, it's coming in, this is the way it's going to sound. This is the way it's going to sound if it comes in. And essentially, that Mr. Chance receives financial incentives for committing violent acts, that Ramos refers to Mr. Chance as a mastermind that handles the gang's war, that his Instagram handle is, I think it's Rich Off War, and or that may be his Cash App handle. So,
your Cash App handle is Rich Off War. Like, these young boys is out of control, man. Rich Off War, bro.
While the state alleges that Mr. Murphy is a documented 1200 member, the state's evidence as to that association is categorically different than it is as it relates to Mr. Chance. And it should be noted that it was a month after this homicide, for which we were being prosecuted for, that Mr. Murphy was designated as a gang member. I have set forth with particularity those instances under the gang statute that law enforcement used in order to designate Mr. or document Mr. Murphy as a gang member. In an overall capacity, without getting into it ad nauseam, the court can read it, is these are unsubstantiated field interviews with random people being stopped for things as simple as possession of marijuana they have no names, no dates, no person. Don't do a supplement. Don't do anything to memorialize that a stranger given a list of people. Hey, is so-and-so involved in the gang? So-and-so involved in the gang? So-and-so involved in the gang? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Yeah, no, he's not. He is. That is the first part of documentation that is utilized in order to document Mr. Murphy as a gang member. And it goes into detail based on sworn testimony of detectives as to how they got that information. I questioned the detective about the specifics of what they say is a gang handshake that's seen given by Mr. Murphy, and he talks about a series of movements that come together, something that can be seen, but it's difficult to describe. And he goes on and says, I can't redo it. I asked him to do it with me. Can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Shows a video. I can't see anybody giving anybody a handshake. And essentially that is the second criteria by which Mr. Murphy is documented as a gang member. Thirdly, his association with Noah Williams, who is another individual who is documented as a gang member. He is purportedly, and in fact does, author or sing raps along the way as far back as 5 and 6 years ago, 2018, 2020, 2021, that are fodder and part of the state's attempt to admit into evidence in this case that he is a gang member, but he is also a prominent musician. He is a person that has millions of views, that has signed a record deal with a national record company. So this is not a person who is simply just an alleged gang member, but a person who is an accomplished musician as well. He also happens to be a childhood friend of Rashad Murphy, known each other since they were small children. There is no physical evidence to link Rashad Murphy with any criminal gang, and no witnesses to testify to it firsthand. Importantly, I don't anticipate, at least I haven't seen any yet, evidence that would suggest that Mr. Murphy had any involvement in a gang war. So those are the categories of evidence which I anticipate that the court will run into, not only as it relates to the overview of this case, but also as the subject of other motions that have been filed, not only by me, but by co-counsel.
Breaking news, police release footage of a recent theft from a local pet store. A dog.
The fuck, how many times y'all gonna run the same ad over?
Is required, Judge, under 3.152B1A. I strongly believe that this case illustrates why severance is required when the state's theory depends on inferential group narratives rather than individualized proof. The prejudice that requiring severance doesn't arise, like I talked about earlier, with one singular incident, but the cumulative effect of multiple categories of evidence that are admissible, if at all, against co-defendants. I do not believe that under the rules of severance, that is cured by inextricably intertwined or motive, either or both. It's going to cause the jury to infer motive or intent or participation by association with individuals that evidence admissible against them would be inadmissible against the defendant. Evidence linking Chance and Gathright to prior homicide of Julio. Specific forensic and physical evidence seized from both of them that are unrelated to this particular charge and have no connection to the defendant. Pre-conspiracy and post-offense statements that are
You're making a good argument, though,
that may imply guilt or that may have to do with prior crimes and prior murders or attempted murders. Celebratory statements made by co-defendants that initially were thought to be Mr. Murphy, but not. And extensive affiliation evidence that differs in scope depending on the defendant. Independently, they establish a substantial
risk, Judge,
that the jury is going to attribute co-defendant's conduct and motive to Mr. Murphy. Considered all together, they render a fair trial impossible, in my view. The risk that's demonstrated as it relates to 3.152B1A is, this is what it's designed to prevent. It's required when a joint trial threatens a fair determination of guilt or innocence. A fair determination of guilt or innocence. While the court has the discretion to grant severance when a jury could be confused or improperly influenced by evidence which applies to only one of the defendants, the court should grant, not discretionary, but should grant severance if the evidence directed at a co-defendant which is prejudicial to the defendant exists. I cite the court a number of cases that would establish this general principle.
And they can tighten
I'll
them
get
up
to
in
it
there
later.
and
The
shape
state
up
takes
shit.
issues, especially with the McRae state case that I cited, but it's not for the reasons that they say that I cited it. It's just simply for the standard law. The factual scenarios are different, and I don't say our factual scenarios are aligned. It's the premise.
It's just sad. It's just sad, y'all. All these guys are under 25. Well, most of them. I think him and his cousin, they the oldest out the bunch. But all these dudes are in their early 20s, man, for the most part. Shit ridiculous.
In the context of the court's ruling that I want the court to take note of. I go on to provide the court with a federal court case, state versus Zaffro, United States versus Zaffro, and Florida courts also have held that severance should be granted when the jury could be confused or influenced by evidence that applies only to one defendant. Again, cite McRae, I cite the Hernandez case, and I cite the Cason case. The state has some aversion to the Hernandez case, and I'm going to talk about that in rebuttal. But essentially, I believe the Second District Court of Appeals agreed with me on that issue, and I think they agreed with my preposition as it relates to the context of this case. The danger of spillover in a circumstance like this, with the litany of these defendants being tried together, is magnified in complex multi-defendant prosecutions involving different degrees of culpability. And the courts are talk about this all the time. The jury's asked to evaluate multiple defendants through a single narrative and a single framework, not inextricably intertwined.
These are the guys that's arrested for if you're just coming in, man, hit that like button. Let's get the 50 likes. But these are the guys that's arrested for the murder of Julio Foolio. Now, this is his lawyer right here. This is his lawyer. The argument he's trying to make to the judge is that his client deserves a severance from the rest of the people involved in the case. Because what it sounds like is there's no real concrete evidence that he participated in this crime. I don't think they even got him on video. Like, he's not on video at the Airbnb, walking in or leaving out. Yeah, they don't really have nothing on y'all. There's no, listen, if you listen to the lawyer, there's no proof that he's affiliated to any gang, that he was ever a part of a gang war. And the evidence that they're going to use on these other defendants might prejudice the jury against him because there's evidence on these other guys. So the state is trying to take all these people to trial and just have a mountain of evidence just on everybody. You know, but some evidence might be strong on others. Some evidence might be lacking on others. But they're trying to use all that evidence to convict them all. And what he's trying to do is separate his client from that, because if he just had his own separate trial, there's not really a whole bunch of evidence to convict him. That's what's going on right now. And he probably could beat the case if his trial was severed from the rest of the defendants.
Not motive. This is severance, and it's a different ballgame.
Hit that like button, y'all.
I cite the Crum case, Judge, and essentially courts in Florida talk all the time about when severance turns on prejudice and not convenience. And certainly in this case, boy, that's a really big word. Because we all know, and we have spoke on numerous occasions about what would happen in the circumstance where the court grants this motion. And I don't suggest to the court for 1 second it wouldn't be a nightmare, but I believe it's necessary. The courts reject severance, Judge, if the following factors are present, none of which are present in this case. There's substantial overlapping evidence applicable to all defendants, not here. And that's citing the Forbes case. Joint trial is proper where evidence of conspiracy, phone records, DNA, and eyewitness testimony applied collectively to the defendants. None of that exists here.
Yeah, they don't have
in
that.
those cases, by the way, Judge, that
So basically, they do have DNA evidence. They do have cell phone evidence, but collectively, they don't. They got that individually.
DNA and eyewitness testimony applied
They
collectively.
don't have no eyewitness testimony. No eyewitness testimony, which means they have to have all three. They don't have no eyewitness testimony. Y'all remember, ain't none of these people talk. None of these people admitted to the crime.
To the defendants. None of that exists here. In those cases, by the way, Judge, those evidentiary issues, by the way, are determined by witnesses, by live witnesses, by people that take the stand, and people that testify to those things. Independent evidence establishing each defendant's guilt. I cite the Hunter case, which the state has an issue with, and I'm going to talk about that in rebuttal, that severance is required when defendants' own admissions, not here, physical evidence, not here, and co-conspirator testimony independently establish guilt.
You see what I
And then, of
said?
course, other crimes that are that evidence is linked to the defendant. In the Castillo case, no severance required when the predicate racketeering acts, though numerous, were tied to the defendant's leadership role. And then, of course, antagonistic defenses, which I've already suggested to the court, is not our argument here. By contrast, Judge, the court has held that severance is required when the following factors exist. Each, which is present in this case. Evidence admissible against a co-defendant, but inadmissible against the defendant. And that is buttressed by the 2nd District DCA case of Hernandez versus State at 572nd 404. And the DCA there reversed a denial of severance where prior drug transactions, this happened to be a brother who lived with the co-defendant.
And this all cropped up mid-trial in front of Judge Graybill.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah, none of them say nothing.
And lost my place.
A dog just like yours at home after his wellness
God damn,
Whimsy's
yo.
dental treats.
They
6
must pay a
primary
lot of money for
ingredients
these
make up
ads.
Whimsy's, and
Golly. Yeah, everybody go get their dog some whimsies. I mean, they just gonna keep pushing it on this motherfuckers matter go buy it. That's the concept anyway.
The two brothers, co-defendants, they were both accused of trafficking and conspiracy to traffic cocaine. And then in the middle of the trial, evidence came up as to one brother and other prior drug transactions that the co-defendant brother had nothing to do with.
Could happen here. Probably will happen here. Could happen here by co-defendant testimony. Could happen here by cross-examination of counsel that might open the door to a number of different things. But at that stage of the game, what the court said is that obviously where those prior drug transactions applied only to the brother, that severance should have been granted. Also, Judge, the second type of case where severance is required is the expansion of admissible evidence through co-defendant's conduct. I cite Dix, where they suggest that severance was required where the co-defendant's statements were used to support the state's theory of guilt, but would have been admissible as to the defendant. Again, a Britain issue. But thirdly, the risk that the jury will infer participation based on association, and that's back to Hernandez again. This is not a routine joint trial involving overlapping of independent proof tying each defendant to this case. As to Mr. Murphy, there's no forensic or ballistic evidence.
See?
There's no admissions or inculpatory statements. There's no animus directly toward Foolio. There's no participation in any prior violent offense. I will suggest to you
I ain't gonna
that
lie, yo. If they was to grant this severance, Shorty might walk. Which I doubt it. But if they grant this severance, he gonna walk. Cause they don't got shit on yo, man.
it may indicate that
Most of the evidence is on Isaiah Chance and Sean Gaithright. That's what most of the evidence is on.
Again, I'm talking about facts. I'm talking about admissible or inadmissible evidence that in 2018, 6 years before this case or this murder occurred, that an individual by the name of Joe Rod Adams was killed Okay? And in fact, Mr. Murphy had a connection to Joe Rod Adams. They would suggest that's his brother. It's not his brother. People call each other brothers. They're not brothers. But I think that's what the state might suggest to you. Number one, it happened 6 years before this. Number two, Mr. Murphy's not involved in any violent act that I'm aware of, or that even detectives will testify to in speculation or opinion. And certainly no one will walk in here and tell you or tell the jury that that exists. So to that extent,
Mr. Gonzalez, before Mr. Snarty needs to leave, I just want to, if he's got anything to add, you said 2:30, correct?
Correct, Judge. Our position is very similar to that of Mr. Rashad Murphy as it is to Davion Murphy. It dovetails the same.
Yes, yo, they don't have no. So basically, the cousins is trying to separate from the other two, because the other two fucked everybody over. The cousins saying, "Man, fuck that, yo, we got to get our cases separated from theirs." Straight up, like y'all said, that's our only hope. Our only hope in this situation, cause is we gotta separate from Gaithright and Isaiah Chance. Have to.
Same arguments and a factual basis, so we would adopt it on behalf of Mr. Davion Murphy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Snarty.
May I be excused?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Judge, instead, the defense anticipates that the state is going to rely on surveillance-based inferences. Primarily, number one, the comparison of the defendant's clothing, all black. Back boots, back jeans, back shirt, black hoodie, that he is seen wearing in a Walmart with surveillance video 36 hours before the murder in another jurisdiction, with pictures taken of shooter number one at the scene of the crime, where that individual is dressed in all black. Just for context, I don't know if this is working, Judge. So just for context, there's Mr. Murphy in Walmart, and there is the picture of the shooter at the scene. And this, primarily, as it relates to surveillance-type inferences, is going to be the state's evidence as to the fact that shooter number one is Rashad Murphy. That would also be in addition to Mr. Murphy's presence in Tampa after the murder took place. Hours after the murder took place, Mr. Murphy, there's going to be evidence that he was in Tampa in the company of some of the other co-defendants in this case. Not all of them, some of them. And an inference that the state's going to make that he drove down with them from Jacksonville, which there's no evidence to suggest he did. Number two, that he was in the Airbnb that the court's aware of, although he's not on any surveillance video going in and out of the Airbnb, and speculating that he must have gone in through other means in order to get in.
Look, I told you they ain't got no video of him doing that. Hey, y'all, come, we need one more like to get to 50, y'all. One more like to get to 50. 50 Cent. Yeah, man. We gotta do it for 50 Cent, y'all.
Judge, evidence of the prior attempted homicide
Shout out to 50.
Foolio is admissible.
Why don't we refer to him as Mr. Jones?
I'm sorry, Judge?
Let's refer to him as Mr. Jones.
So much easier, Judge. I forget.
I know.
But I always remember Foolio.
Yes.
Yes, Judge, I'll do my best.
I was wondering why he was calling
So
Julio
the
Foolio
attempted
the whole
homicide
time.
of Mr. Jones, the state's most compelling evidence with regard to
Cool.
that attempted
Appreciate it,
murder
y'all.
concerns the actions of other co-defendants' involvement in that attempted murder, and there's no comparable evidence as it relates to the defendant. All of the evidence as it relates to that incident is with reference to other co-defendants, and it precedes the conspiratorial time frame by a year. While the defendant, Mr. Murphy, doesn't concede that any evidence related to that murder is admissible, evidence to establish a shooting that occurred is categorically different to evidence directly linking co-defendants to that act. And that's what happens when we sit at this table, without question, and I think without there being any other way but spillover. Mr. Murphy, has no evidentiary involvement in that case, and others do, not only by statements, but by forensic evidence. This distinction, Judge, is really critical. If the state's permitted to establish that Mr. Jones' attempted murder is itself retaliatory.
Breaking news, police release footage of a recent theft from a local pet store. A dog just like yours at home after his wellness whimsies dental treats. Look at that focus.
Man, yeah, make sure y'all get y'all dubs some Wednesdays.
Basically, as it relates to detectives' perceptions and opinion evidence as it relates to Tilly's homicide, retaliatory in that respect, then the state's no longer offering the incident merely as background or context, which is what it should be meant to do. It's establishing co-defendants' direct involvement in an ongoing cycle of gang violence. I mean, just acts that Mr. Chance might have allegedly been involved with that the state's going to try to introduce as it relates to statement. If it's appropriate to promote fair determination of guilt.
So this is the cousin's attorney. I forgot his name.
And one quote I put in our motion is that it's from the Menendez case from the Florida Supreme Court many years ago. Severance should be granted liberally whenever potential.
Let me make sure.
Evidence of the cumulative evidence of the prior history.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. All right. Who wants to go next? Mr. Counsel for Mr. Chance or Mr. Gathright? Do you guys have a preference?
I can go here.
Okay. Very good.
Go down the table.
Sure.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, I'd just like to adopt all of Mr. Gonzalez's very eloquent arguments, and for the sake of time, not try to go back over those. I would point out, Your Honor, I recognize, of course, severance would not be convenient, it would not be efficient, but this system is not designed to be efficient or quick. It's designed to be fair and just. And I think the only way any of these defendants are going to get a fair trial in this case is to try separately.
And do you agree there's no Bruton problem as it relates to your client?
I do agree, but that's only part of the analysis, Your Honor. I think the rule is if it's appropriate to promote fair determination of guilt or innocence. And one quote I put in our motion is that it's from the Menendez case from the Florida Supreme Court many years ago. That severance should be granted liberally whenever potential prejudice is likely to arise. And I think we just got a little glimpse of potential prejudice that's likely to arise in this case. I started to quote one of the things Mr. Gonzalez said early on, talking about the search of Mr. Gafferty's car, that there were a litany of firearms, magazines, ammunition, yada, 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 found. And we heard many, many times about what's found in Mr. Gafferty's car. And I'm not suggesting Mr. Gonzalez by any means is doing anything inappropriate. He's effectively advocating for his client.
Correct.
But in doing so, he's now essentially implicating Mr. Gafferty.
I know, but the courts have said that's not enough to get you a severance. Just because you're pointing fingers at each other, that's not enough.
Well, I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Correct.
And I think that it really depends on each individual case and the circumstances. And we have four, I would suggest, very differently situated defendants. And one thing I would point out as well, Mr. Gafferty's name never, from what I can tell, ever surfaced in connection with that prior shooting of Mr. Jones until the casings were found. So it's not like, he's being investigated by Jacksonville. I was going to mention that moment.
You're fucking up the other dude's case. God damn. It's how I get though in trial, man. Every lawyer is looking out for their own client, man. Get dicey. You know what I mean? Your lawyer might throw your co-defendant under the bus to try to get you off, and that's not snitching like some of these niggas are trying to make you believe. That's just how the game go.
None of these Jacksonville deputies even knew who he was until Tampa contacts them. But now, obviously, as we see, Mr. Gonzalez is going to be bringing up, as he rightly should, that his client has nothing to do with this other investigation. And that really brings up an issue that's probably individual to Mr. Gathright, because he's a little differently situated in that he has no connection at all to this gang. We took a week's worth of depositions of Jacksonville officers, detectives, look at all detectives, and at least a couple of them are designated as gang experts. None of them knew Mr. Gathright or even heard his name, as I recall, until TPD contacts him in connection with this. There's no evidence that he was part of this gang. The state has not alleged that aggravator as to him. And in all candor, I'm going to argue at every opportunity that he's not part of the gang. But the risk we run, number one, that I think raises issues for the other defendants, but the other risk we run, like the Hernandez issue, is that, and I took a quote from Hernandez, but I believe that the issue they were concerned about was that the jury, when they're looking at the prior acts of the brother that come in against the co-defendant, the jury certainly could have attributed to Hernandez as a possible participant in these acts, and that may have contributed to the verdicts of guilt. That's what I'm concerned about here, is that they're going to hear, and I believe it's frankly going to be a feature of the trial, the gang connections and the drill rap videos that Mr. Gathright has nothing to do with. They're just going to assume, well, he must have been in this gang. He must have taken part in all these alleged prior acts. And if he were tried separately, maybe there'd be some evidence of the gang connection. Frankly, I would probably want some of the evidence to come in. Because again, he's not part of that. And that is the motive for this whole alleged homicide. But the problem in the joint trial, I think, is it's going to become a feature. We're going to see all these drill rap videos, I expect. We're going to hear from gang experts about this gang. The jury's going to have to compartmentalize that, hopefully see that he's not a member, but the risk, like the court was concerned about Hernandez, is that they're going to just assume, well, he must be. because we've heard all this evidence. We've heard about all these prior acts. It was, frankly, a feature of the trial. He must have been part of it and just never got caught. That's the concern we really have, I think, at the heart of it. As to individual...
Man, his lawyer saying he got a public defender. I ain't gonna lie. My man right here, it's like he got a good lawyer. Shorty Gathright look like he got a public defender, man. I don't like his swag. Yo, you gotta have swag, yo, to be a good attorney, man. You have to. I say that shit in every case. You gotta be able, it's about convincing. You gotta be able to convince the jury that what I'm saying is the truth versus what the prosecution is saying.
Pieces of evidence, Ron. I think one that you pointed out are these.
Now maybe he's different in trial.
Text messages. I don't believe.
I've already pretty much ruled on that one.
Yes, Ron. There's another one that really I think has just kind of recently come up, and it's not mentioned in the response to Mr. Gathwright's motion of severance.
Got you, bro.
It is in Rashad Murphy's response that apparently on the morning of October 7th, 2023.
Okay, Ron.
There's that's when I believe the first shooting of Mr. Jones occurred or shortly after, but it states in there that there's a recorded video chat conversation that occurred on Spaces, video chat room on X, on June 6th, in which co-defendant Isaiah Chance asked the victim, "Hey, Foolio, you foot
what it
okay?"
do?
And stating he has bigger fish to fry. And then this is apparently the Spaces chat, which is something I was not familiar with. This is public. And then it states that on June 6th, co-defendant Chance and Victor Jones continued to argue back and forth on the social media platform. And then Rashad Murphy texts co-defendant Sean Gathright. It states Gathright and Chance are best friends, and Murphy instructs Gathright to make sure that Chance doesn't ruin the plan, letting him get worked up because they've got bigger things to tend to. So I have been through the iCloud dump for many, many hours, and I'd never seen that. And it never came up that I saw during the 2 days of Detective Ramos's deposition. But in any event, I'm pretty confident that Mr. Gathright, if that was sent to him, did not respond back to that. So now we have another instance of something that apparently Rashad Murphy allegedly texted him that I don't believe would be admissible in a separate trial, and frankly could be viewed as pretty damaging evidence to the jury. That I don't see how it comes in unless there's a context or a foundation established for a co-conspirator.
He's not a good lawyer. I'd have fired
without
his
any
ass.
response from Mr. Gathright, I see no basis for it. I don't know if that's something the state's intending to admit, and quite frankly,
No, but some lawyers are good at trial. You know, maybe he's not a good motions hearing lawyer. I mean, but I'm not impressed by him so far. Like if I was Sean Gathright, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to war with y'all. I wouldn't. Like he got to pick it up a little bit. You're gonna lure the jury to sleep talking like this.
Seen that until yesterday when Mr. Gonzalez called me frantically and mentioned.
And so you referenced in the state's response.
Look, I got it sped up. Let's listen to how he sounds slowed down.
It's not in Mr. Gathro's response.
Right.
It's in the response to
Rashad
Murphy on page 5.
Okay, let me just take a look.
F on page 5.
Okay, I see it.
When
listen to
some
him.
co-defendants were tried separately
Yeah,
in
pick it
different
up.
cases. But again, I think it's a case-by-case determination. And here we have 4 defendants on trial.
A dog just like yours
Yeah,
at
I
home
don't like
after his
yo.
wellness.
Hey, he ain't slick enough for me. Not my life on the line. I can't say it though, 'cause I had Roland Walker for my lawyer. He was old as a bitch. But Roland Walker had swag as old ass. Rest in peace to Roland Walker, man. He got to pick it up some though.
Very different, I believe, aggravating circumstances that issue. The probably most significant one is the gang aggravator that, again, is not alleged as to Mr. Gathright, but I believe is alleged as to the other 3 defendants. We're going to have to hope that the jury, again, can compartmentalize that and not assume that it must apply to Mr. Gathright as well, which I think is a very dangerous thing to presume. especially when we're talking not just 2, not 3, but 4 defendants in this particular situation. And the other difficulty that I see that I don't really know if cases have addressed, but we don't really know what other defendants are going to present for mitigation. We don't know how the jury is going to compare each defendant. I believe there's a plethora of mitigation as to Mr. Guthrie, but I don't know what
Walker, man.
other defendants or how the jurors are going to potentially weigh that if they're
Walker,
being
my
asked
guy,
to decide the sentence as to each individual defendant, and potentially not just weigh aggravators from the state and mitigators from the defendants, but potentially weigh the mitigating factors that each defendant presents in comparison to one another. So for all of those reasons, Ron, I think that this is a very dangerous situation if this case is to go forward as a joint trial, and I think the only fair way to ensure
He was good on drug
just determination of each individual defendant's, not just guilt or innocence, but if we get to penalty phase, the appropriate sentence is to try them individually.
Brief, because you've heard mostly everything, and I'll adopt Mr. Wise and Mr. Gonzalez's motion, and I'm sure the court's read my motion. A couple things I wanted to bring up. You talked about the McCrae case and improperly influencing, and that's one of the issues we would have. And some of the items that I believe that would not be admissible against Mr. Chance. You talked about Davion Murphy's statements. Also bring up the case you found in Mr. Gathwite's car that links to the 10-7 attempted murder of Mr. Jones. There's no link to Mr. Chance in that, other than rumor and the attempted murder happened in close proximity to allegedly someone that Mr. Jones used to date. And that's the only connection. The casing has no connection to Mr. Chance himself, as well as anything found in the search warrants of Mr. Gathwite's home. We would also argue that any aggravators that would be heard outside of CCP would not be applicable to Mr. Chance as well, including gang aggravators, because there's different gangs involved here, so that the jury would hear different gang aggravators that don't involve ATK. Further, Mr. Chance is not in any of the drill rap videos. His name is not mentioned. Mr. Jones does not ever diss Mr. Chance in any of the drill rap videos. He doesn't diss Tilly in any of the drill rap videos, so we would argue that any of those videos should not be admissible against Mr. Chance because they do not provide motive to Mr. Chance.
I don't like him either.
He's not mentioned, he's not in them. And I know you want to get into this later, but any mention of 1200 or bully gang, we would argue it's applicable, not admissible, and is prejudicial against Mr. Chance.
I don't like it either. I ain't gonna lie. I don't like them. The first lawyer seemed like he top notch. I don't. It's like he got some sugar in his tank. Anyway, but I don't think I like him as my attorney either.
Well, the state's going to try to attempt to prove that he's a documented member of ATK, but only ATK.
But you never know, though. He might could switch it up, though. I can see him having a little bit of swag. I can see him getting in front of that jury and, putting on the show.
Argue that any mention of 1200 as proof of motive or bully gang, which is a alleged subset but not a member of 6 Block, would be inadmissible against Mr. Chance. And we would also argue that all that would end up becoming a feature of the trial, as Mr. Wise said. All the prior inextricably intertwined stuff, which I know we'll get to a different day, and it will be impossible for the jury to put that aside, especially when we're talking about, again, gang that even the state would admit that Mr. Chance is not a member of, which would be 1200. And as Mr. Gonzalez stated, a lot of these prior murders are unsolved. And while the state may bring in witnesses from law enforcement to talk about the specifics of those murders, those witnesses will have no idea who committed those murders because
I don't think it's fair to introduce unsolved murders as an indication of guilt. You understand? If they unsolved, then you can't say that Woodside had a role in it. I think that should be his own separate motion. I think that evidence alone should be in its own separate hearing. And it might be, outside of motion for severance. Because I think that's a great argument for the defense? How you gonna bring in unsolved
Breaking
murders?
news, police released.
Like how the fuck? How you gonna bring in unsolved murders? That's crazy. It's unsolved. Anybody could have did it. Now I think this is the prosecution case right here.
Hey, do you want to have all of the defendants, the remaining co-defendants, make their argument and then respond to all of them, or you want to do it one by one?
I prefer to do one by one.
Okay, that's fine. So it seems to me, before you get going, that what this really comes down to, and the case law is articulated, the precedent, the binding precedent, is articulated pretty clearly in the McCrae case, McCrae versus State at 416 Southern 2nd 804. And that was a Florida Supreme Court opinion, and they stated as follows. The object of the rule is not to provide defendants with an absolute right upon request to separate trials when they blame each other for the crime. Rather, the rule is designed to assure a fair determination of each defendant's guilt or innocence. This fair determination may be achieved when all the relevant evidence regarding the criminal offense is presented in such a manner that the jury can distinguish the evidence related to each defendant's acts, conduct, and statements, and can then apply the law intelligently and without confusion to determine the individual defendant's guilt or innocence. The rule allows the trial court in its discretion to grant severance when the jury could be confused or improperly influenced by evidence which applies to only one of several defendants. A type of evidence that can cause confusion is the confession of a defendant which by implication affects a co-defendant, but which the jury is supposed to consider only as to the confessing defendant and not as to the others. A severance is always required in this circumstance. In situations less
that's
obviously...
crazy, yo, with that being the case law. Yo, why the fuck would the federal government in Stephon Mack murder trial? Why do they do that? It's in case law that any statements made after the alleged conspiracy cannot be used against the co-defendant. So why would they? That was a bad decision that they did in that Stephon Mack trial. Listen to what she said. Like, this is case law.
Supposed to consider only as to confusion is the confession of a defendant which by implication affects a co-defendant.
That's what I meant. Not statements, but confession. They knew that. So it's crazy. They tried it anyway. And that it messed up their case a little bit in that in the supposed to be retaliation murder for D thing. That man confessed to a federal Fed informant. And they tried to use that evidence to convict both of them. And it hurt their case because now the cases are separated. But that's case law. So that was a bad tactic, yo. That was a predatory tactic. I think they just did that in an attempt to try to get Dirk somehow. Like, they've been trying to get Dirk and pin him to the motherfucking cross.
But which the jury is supposed to consider only as to the confessing defendant and not as to the others. A severance is always required in this circumstance.
Oh, yeah?
In situations less obviously prejudicial than the Bruton circumstance, the question of whether severance should be granted must necessarily be answered on a case-by-case basis. Some general rules, however, have established, specifically, the fact that the defendant might have a better chance of acquittal or a strategic advantage if tried separately does not establish the right to a severance. Nor is hostility among defendants or an attempt by one defendant to escape punishment by throwing the blame on a co-defendant a sufficient reason by itself to require severance. If the defendants engage in a swearing match as to who did what, the jury should resolve the conflicts and determine the truth of the matter. None of the co-defendants in this case, the Hunter case, made a Bruton-type confession, and the evidence presented was not so complex that the jury would be confused by it and incapable of applying it to the conduct of each individual defendant. So that would be kind of juxtaposed to the Hernandez case, which we've already discussed pretty extensively. The Hernandez case, as we discussed, had to deal with the co-defendant brothers' prior drug transactions coming in during the middle of the trial. The other case would be the Miller case, which I think some of you cited too, 756 Southern 2nd, 1072. It's a 4th DCA opinion. And in that case, one of the co-defendants had contacted the victim and apologized and also offered to pay the victim money to not proceed forward with charges. And in that case, even though it was not per se Bruton, the 4th DCA held that the acknowledgement of guilt by appellant's brother through his apology to the victim, that's another brother case actually, by by appellant's brother through his apology to the victim and the offer to pay him to drop the charges undermine both defendants' theory of self-defense. Okay, so I guess just to start off, just to confirm with the state, you're not going to seek to admit these post-homicide statements by an inmate, Shane Payne, these are intercepted phone calls to Tayshawn Schatz Thomas, or a phone call to LaShawn Walcott, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. So my next question would be to you, would be, as far as statements go, the celebratory statements made by Davian Murphy. These would be 2 messages sent from Mr. Gathwright's phone between 12:58 p.m. and 1:01 p.m. on June 23rd, 2024, hours after Mr. Jones's homicide. And these, the first message is, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today, Murphy." The second message is, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. I love you, Murphy." All right, so it's not Bruton, but do we start to cross over into being a Hernandez or Miller issue?
Judge, I do not believe so, Judge. I believe that again, that's direct evidence against Mr. Murphy, and that is also inextricably intertwined evidence and gang evidence, Judge. And I do agree with McCrae that situation's less prejudicial than Bruton is a case-by-case basis, but I still think that the court is on firm ground in not severing these defendants. And when you look at Victorino and you look at Hunter, those were death penalty cases where you had multiple 3 defendants. And when you talk about being complicated, that case, they had 6 murder victims, as well as it was, I believe, a 19-count indictment. So there were many more charges in that case. And this is not a RICO-type situation where jurors are going to have to be looking at Excel spreadsheets and sifting through that type of complicated evidence. This is a simple and straightforward gang rival case, Judge. And when you're looking at Victorino and Hunter, those are Florida Supreme Court cases. And in those cases, defendants were asking to sever out, and the trial courts denied those motions to sever, and those were both upheld by the Florida Supreme Court. And likewise, in this case, we have not 3, we have 4. There are no Bruton issues which would require severance. And when you talk about, and the only reason why we went into the litany of factors, you, Judge, you sat in on the motion for pretrial defense, for pretrial detention for Rashad Murphy, and that same litany of facts going into the rival gang, as well as all of the things that the co-defendants, every defendant in this case did, was relevant because this is a case where it was a group crime. They are charged as principals, and they are going to be held responsible for every action that their co-defendant did, because we can prove and show that they all intended for the crime to be committed, and they all did some act and participated into this crime. So when we talk about overlapping evidence, and Your Honor, you presided over one of the co-defendants that was severed out, this wasn't a case where only the evidence was admitted only as to what Ms. Andrews did. All of the evidence of all of the co-defendants was admitted. So when we talk about the evidence, with all due respect to Mr. Gonzalez, all of that evidence, all of the ballistic evidence, all of that evidence is going to come into evidence against Rashad Murphy, just like it will against Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, and Davian Murphy. And why we put in all of that facts into every single response into the pretrial detention motion is because they are charged as principals. So when we go back to the issue of severance, and when we talk about Hunter, the second DCA case, Judge, I think was the best argument for the defense where...
Hernandez.
What did I say, Hernandez?
You said Hunter, but it's Hernandez.
The Hernandez, the second DCA case where they severed it out. And what was key in that Hernandez case was, that it was so prejudicial, was that the evidence that was admissible against his co-defendant, the co-defendant brother, would not be independently admissible in his own trial.
Well, isn't that really the crux, though, the whole issue?
Yes.
Is that I would have to find that there is evidence the state is seeking to admit that would be inadmissible against the co-defendants. And the reason why I'm going to go back to these post-homicide statements made by Davian Murphy. They're not co-conspirator statements because the conspiracy's over. Mr. Jones is dead. So, and these statements did not come in, that I recollect, during the trial of co-defendant Alicia Andrews. So, these statements, so I'm asking you, the state is seriously intending to introduce these statements or these telephone messages, these text messages, and are you telling me that if defendants Rashad Murphy, Sean Gathright, and Isaiah Chance were tried separate from Davion Murphy, would these be admissible?
dog, just like yours at home after his wellness Whimsy's dental treats. 6 primary ingredients make up Whimsy's, and when chewed
This is ridiculous, y'all. Golly, how many more times? They just keep showing the same commercial.
They don't come in a co-conspirator, so why would they be admissible against them?
Judge, I think that it is because it is inextricably intertwined. If the evidence of motive is, and so that is also one of the reasons why we did provide the court with the Richardson case and all of the cases regarding to inextricably intertwined. And it's not just inextricably intertwined that that all of that evidence came in. It also came in as motive, and it came in as intent. And we are going to be able to provide evidence that this was evidence of that motive, Judge.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that this statement, if they're tried together, if the statement by Davion Murphy is coming in, just for that reason. Just so you know, I don't think it is. So the state may have to decide what you want to do. Just throwing that out there as one example of evidence that would seem to violate the Hernandez precedent in that it is prejudicial and it's not admissible against the other co-defendants if they were tried separately. So I'm just letting you know.
Judge, I also want to talk about conspiracy and when a conspiracy ends. I know what is alleged in the indictment, but we are talking, there are 2 vehicles.
I know, but the conspiracy ends when Mr. Jones is dead. That's when it ends. The conspiracy's over. The object of the conspiracy has been achieved. He's dead. Because I researched this issue, so I'm very aware of the case law on it. So once Mr. Jones dies, there is no further co-conspirator admission of any statements. The conspiracy's over. So, anyway, okay, so go ahead.
Judge, going back to the question of whether or not they need to be severed out, and talking about Victorino and Hunter, again, in those cases, the trial court did not allow separation, did not find that there was anything so complicated about that evidence. And I think, Judge, that is something that is critical in this particular case. I don't think that there is anything that is so complicated about this case. And I know that Mr. Gonzalez had mentioned and was talking about the gang evidence. That type of rivalry is inextricably intertwined. Richardson is basically a primer for this case, and I do think that it is very similar. In that particular case, there were 6 other incidences of violence that came in that case to show basically, again, motive, intent, but also to show the jury an accurate depiction of the facts that were leading up to the offenses that occurred in this particular case. And when you look at the evidence that we are going to be showing, not just through gang expert testimony, we are not going to just be showing evidence through hearsay. Also listed with those gang experts in Jacksonville are first responding officers or officers that investigated each one of those incidences. So the jury is going to be able to know that those incidents really happened. And all of those incidents go to not just inextricably intertwined, but it goes to motive and intent, which was the other area why that evidence is critical in this particular case, because it shows the back and forth retaliation. And not just the back and forth retaliation, the Richardson case showed 6 prior incidents. They also showed all of the different rap videos that showed the motive. And in particular, Judge, there is going to be rap videos of Mr. Jones, the victim in this case, which clearly, again, it all goes to motive. I think Mr. Gonzalez says, like, all of this evidence wasn't going to go to motive. It clearly is going to motive. The victim in this case is known for producing these drill rap videos where he specifically is mentioning people that are associated or in the gangs that have been killed who all of the defendants know. And so it's not just the fact that you have 1200 or ATK. It is going to be clear based on the expert gang testimony that those 2 gangs are allied, and based on the video that Mr. Jones himself put on or put up on Instagram, that is the motive why all of the defendants in this particular case had a reason and did in fact want him dead. And so, Judge, going back to Hernandez and any concern about those prior instances, we believe it's the state's position that all of those instances are inextricably intertwined, as well as
each defendant, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes, and that it would come in against each defendant. So there is no reason that you would need to do a severance. And when you're talking about the penalty phase, just as Your Honor said, in Victorino and in Hunter, those were death penalty cases, and there wasn't anything so complicated about that 6 first-degree homicide count 16-count indictment that the jurors couldn't make a distinction and separate out the evidence to each particular defendant. And that's exactly what happened in that case. There were death recommendations by the jury as to some of the defendants, and then a recommendation for life as to other. And they also made distinctions as to who should get death with regards to a specific victim. So to suggest that where we have one victim of first-degree murder, that a jury would not be able to make a distinction, Judge, we believe that those two cases clearly show that juries can do as they're instructed, and there are instructions specifically that address that concern, that they would be able to separate out the evidence and make a decision based on what evidence applied to each defendant. I know that there are 4 remaining co-defendants, but again, that does not make this case more complicated or overly confusing or complicated that a jury could not sort it out. I know Mr. Gonzalez said he is not aware or familiar.
She's a good prosecutor, man. I can see her doing her thing on when she's laying on her case. She's direct. She speaks clearly. I can see her doing a good job, man, on the prosecution tip.
With social media, but that is something that would be for the state to be able to present to a jury in a clear way. There isn't anything so complicated about 4 defendants who actively grouped together to commit this crime. And so all of the inextricably intertwined evidence that we have talked about is relevant and would come in against Mr. Murphy. And again, I do want to speak to Mr. Gonzalez said, like, one of the other considerations in McCrae and some of the considerations for severing, where you're looking at independent evidence. There is going to be independent evidence and proof of the defendant's guilt, each one of the defendant's guilt, how they are responsible and tied to this crime, including, which Mr. Gonzalez forgot to mention, the fact that the defendant is the one that actually obtains one of the suspect vehicles, the silver Chevy Cruze. We know exactly how that vehicle is obtained, and it is, again, through a connection that Mr. Murphy has, that his particular client has, that he's the one that obtains it. That vehicle is driven down to Tampa. It comes in tandem without going to all the facts that Your Honor knows. That is just one of the pieces of evidence, as well as that video footage that is similar clothing worn by that individual, and the fact that
all they got on him right here is that he's supposed to be got one of the vehicles, and he's supposed to have the same clothes on in the video. But man, we learned in Young Dolph murder trial that similar doesn't mean the same. Y'all remember that line? That was a hell of a line that Straight Drop Lawyer said. Similar don't mean the same, man. Just similar. Don't mean it's the exact same clothing. Keep that in mind.
All of the crime, all of the surveillance is captured on video. That is admissible against every single one of them. And the circumstantial nature of the case and the fact that they are principals, all of that evidence is going to come in, including evidence of the defendant's gang activity, which is not just based on hearsay or word on the street. There is documentation of those acts that occurred in videos, those rap videos that we've heard about, where he actually was shown, and just because he didn't see the handshake or didn't understand the handshake, that again is for a jury to determine. But those are things that are going to come into play, and he has been certified, and I agree that the jury is going to make the decision whether or not he's a gang. But the reason why all of that is in there, and the reason why we talk about the inextricably intertwined and the motive evidence, is because that is what makes all of the evidence of those inextricably intertwined incidents admissible against each and every one of the defendants in this case, Judge. And going back to, I understand your position about the celebratory. I'll certainly talk with co-counsel about whether or not
Foolio, they trying to get a severance. So far, only one of them really have a compelling case, but I don't think the judge is going to grant no severance.
Those we'll make a decision about that, but that is evidence, again, that we want to come in, because there is also evidence, when we talk about the ballistics evidence in this case and the circumstantial nature of the case, the entire trip from Jacksonville and how all of the defendants get to Tampa is evidence. How both of the vehicles leave Tampa and go to Polk County and recover the evidence that is uncovered there, and one of their co-defendants then immediately goes to Jacksonville in another vehicle where there is additional evidence recovered in this case, and where there is evidence that is directly linked to this defendant, all of the defendants, back in Jacksonville, and it is all of the defendants who eventually get back to Jacksonville, and all of the video surveillance evidence that shows at the Airbnb, and then at, again, co-defendant Sean Gathrigh's house, which includes this defendant, along with testimony from an Uber driver that he drove and picked up the defendant from that Airbnb in Tampa back to Jacksonville, and all of the consciousness of guilt evidence when those vehicles are seized, including this particular defendant, when he is found in the very exact same suspect vehicle utilized in the hunting and killing of the victim, Mr. Jones, in this case. So all
the defense failed to mention that. You in the same car, bro? You got caught in the car, in the murder car? Yeah. Defense ain't say that at all. He act like that shit wasn't even a thing.
we believe all of that evidence is admissible against all of the defendants because this is a circumstantial case and they are responsible for all of the actions that they did in pursuant that assisted in this case, which included getting rid of evidence, which included removing both vehicles from Tampa to other locations where we weren't able to get them until days after the homicide was committed. So all of that evidence, we believe, should come in and shows why these cases should not be severed.
All right, well, in the way that I view this, there's two separate kind of tranches of evidence. So when we're using the term inexplicably intertwined, as my understanding is, we're talking about the pre-homicide gang violence history, and I'm assuming you would concede that if for some reason I determine that some of what the state seeks to admit as their inextricably intertwined evidence is only admissible as to some of the defendants and not others, then we've got a severance issue, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so if I find that all of the proffered evidence, or if I say to you, listen, I believe that this is the proffered evidence that would be applicable and would be inextricably intertwined as to all defendants, then we don't have a severance issue as far as that goes, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then we have the separate issue of evidence that would be admissible as part of either the conspiracy or as principles or as direct evidence, right? That's a separate tranche of evidence, so to speak, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then that would require kind of the same analysis. Is there any of that evidence that would be inadmissible as to one of these defendants if they were tried separately? That's what my inquiry needs to be, correct?
I agree, Judge.
Okay.
I also think that because it is a principal case, that evidence would be admissible in their trial.
I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just trying to lay the framework. Make the distinction between the gang history inexplicably intertwined, evidence going to potential motive versus actual evidence that was part of the conspiracy and as principles to the offense. So, okay. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Breaking news, police release footage of a recent theft from a local pet store. A dog just like yours at home after his...
Thank you, Mr. Wise. So, State, what is your response to that? It is on page 5 of 20 of the State's response, talking about it, because I don't recall this. Did this come in the Andrews trial?
Judge, I don't believe that it came in the Andrews trial, but Judge, that there is evidence of that conversation, and the defendant, Mr. Gathright, does respond, and this occurs before the offense when Isaiah Chance is in a conversation with the victim discussing the fact that he was shot in the foot before, and there is direct evidence tying Mr. Gathright and Mr. Chance to that October 7th motive evidence where the victim was shot in the foot. And so, Judge, there is dialogue from Mr.Gathright's phone where he and Rashad Murphy are then discussing, because that is a social media site on Twitter that anybody can watch. So as that is going on, you immediately have this conversation by the defendant. It predates the offense, so certainly that qualifies as a co-conspirator statement, Judge.
And just so I'm clear, so there is this Spaces video chat room on X on June 6th of 2024, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
In which Isaiah Chance has asked Mr. Jones, hey, Foolio, your foot okay, cuh? And I guess he also states that he's got bigger fish to fry. And then on that same day, as Mr. Chance and Mr. Jones are arguing on this social media platform, defendant Rashad Murphy is texting the co-defendant, Mr. Gathright, and Rashad Murphy instructs Gathright to make sure that Mr. Chance doesn't ruin the plan, letting them get him worked up because they have bigger things to tend to.
It says bigger shit to tend to verbatim, Judge.
Okay.
And some other cuss words. And then there is a response where you can like that. So Mr. Gathright likes that statement. And then he responds, ain't heard from bro, TD, but I'ma check it with So there is directly a response. And then there's another response from Mr. Murphy where he says he probably not gonna pick up. He on IG letting these, and then there's a bad word getting out of character. So clearly referencing this conversation that is happening, and law enforcement is watching as well and recording that conversation that's happening on X.
Okay. And remind me, what was the day of the homicide? June
23rd.
June 23rd. Okay, so this conversation is happening June 6th.
A couple of weeks prior.
Okay, and so it involves, as we discussed, it involves Mr. Chance, or aspects of it involves Mr. Chance, Mr. Gathright, Mr. Rashad Murphy, but not Davion Murphy. I don't see him referenced in this interaction.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so I guess my question to you is, would this be admissible against Davion Murphy, and if so, under what theory?
Because he also is a co-conspirator, Judge.
Okay, so you're saying this comes in via co-conspirator?
Yes,
hearsay.
and Judge, with regard, and I know that you had said that the conspiracy ends with a death. If the state can provide, Your Honor, with any sort of case law having to do with flight after the crime,
sure.
Would we? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you, Your
different. And it was, my comment was co-conspirator statements. Co-conspirator statements are inadmissible, my understanding, once the objective of the conspiracy is reached. Okay, it's co-conspirator.
So I guess we'll see how all that shit play out. I mean, y'all know my take on it. You know, this is the life you want to live. Stand on that shit. I would recommend stay away from it, but that's how you want to operate. Don't go out like no motherfucking hoe. And shit get real. Then people will take your life away. Happily. I mean, it will happily take your life away, man.
Listen, I know if I go to Kroger's, if I go to the high grocery store, I ain't gonna be able to get that much groceries. I ain't gonna be able to get that much groceries if I go to the high grocery store. So I went to Family Dollars. Right? That's what you do when you broke. That's what you do when you got nothing but $700-800. You go to family. So that's what I thought. But the jailhouse raised me, so I'm thinking I'm doing something. Y'all, I went to Family Dollars. I went and got the off-brand nut bars, the off-brand oatmeal cakes, the off-brand Salisbury steaks, the off-brand oatmeal. I went and got everything off-brand because I thought I was putting some food in the
The off-brand should be nasty as shit sometimes.
know, I took $360-some worth of food over her house. And she told me, my son, don't eat this fake ass food. Bruh, do y'all understand how this shit still ain't registered into me today? It's still not registered into me. I ate syrup sandwiches, bitch.
This is crazy, right?
I ate noodles
sure you gotta
with
get
no
something
packet.
together.
Cereal with the canned milk. The powder milk. No milk. Waffles, no syrup. Jelly. No jelly, nothing. Oatmeal, no sugar. And you complaining about these Salisbury steaks? And all you gotta do is put some seasoned salt on the motherfuckers. Some seasoned salt and some black peppers on the motherfuckers. And some onions. And then bounce back. And you make them a sandwich. And you talk about fake nutty bars. Listen, I
I know
So
if
that's
I
gotta
go
get
to
itself together, man. So King put out some paperwork on 50 Cent. Basically saying that 50 Cent is the one that told on Jimmy Henchman. Now we heard this before. Yo, and based off of how 50 Cent moves, I wouldn't be surprised if he told on Jimmy. Look, he moves like a rat, y'all. You know, rats don't have no morals, no principles, no integrity. And that's what 50 Cent has been doing online. He doesn't have any morals. He's willing to go low, extremely low. Yeah, saying that. He did that one with Skin Bone. What the fuck? Why didn't I upload my the ones I just downloaded? Oh, there you go. So it's saying 2009, Brian Smith received an anonymous call from cell phone number blank. The caller stated that we should investigate James Roseman, aka Jimmy Henchman, in regards to Lowell Fletcher, aka Lodi Mac's murder. After further investigating, it was discovered that the phone used to place the anonymous tip was connected to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. On October 12, 2009, Special Agent Brian Smith and David Torres arrived at the home of Jackson, located at Blank, Connecticut. Jackson confirmed that he was the person who placed the anonymous call and that he was in fear for his life following the death of Lowell Lodo Mac Fletcher. When asked what he believed the motive for Henchman to murder Lodell, he stated that he believed Lodell was murdered for the assault on Henchman's 14-year-old son. Lodell and various band members from G in the group had participated in. Jackson stated that he would cooperate with the investigation and would be willing to provide any information he may have in connection to solve that's homicides involving Jimmy Henchman. Jackson disclosed that he was shot in the past, and the person who attempted to kill him had been hired by Irvin Lorenzo, aka Irv Gotti, and Kenneth McGriff. Now look, all of this is in a Vlad TV interview. Now I don't know if they mimicked this paperwork behind this guy, but this guy definitely said the same things, you know, outside of 50 the one that told.
Now, from what I understand, and I've talked to a few people about this, one of 50 Cent's people ends up robbing Ja Rule for a watch.
I don't think TMZ is
And
credible
50
when it comes down to paperwork. Now, they might be credible sources for other things, but I don't think that we should just take TMZ word because they said it was fake. Now, who the fuck is TMZ when it comes down to street shit?
got thrown into that situation because of his
It
affiliation
could be
with
fake.
it. Right.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't take TMZ word for it.
And, you know, depending on who you talk to, you get a slightly different story. You know, allegedly 50 punched Ja, but then Ja said he punched 50. Who knows? Right. Who knows? But there was some sort of altercation, and
it might be credible on celebrity news.
And at the time, Ja Rule was the big rapper out of Queens. Okay. So, did you know about this beef between 50 Cent and Ja Rule?
Yeah, I became aware of it when I started, and it was a big part of the case because, for a variety of reasons, namely that 50
But I'm
got
just
shot.
saying, based off how 50 move, I wouldn't be surprised if he a rat. And then I was looking for the video while we was watching that. I was looking for the video where I don't know if it was him or not, but they said the investigation of Jimmy Henchman didn't start until after 50 got shot. That's a little odd, man.
By since Supreme had insinuated himself with Murder Inc. Records, into being their protector. So, yeah, there was another thing too where I heard it was a chain at one time. Maybe that was in Atlanta or something.
It was a watch. Yeah.
Okay. I know Supreme got a chain back one time, I think, for him.
Maybe it was a chain. Yeah, I mean, the story's a bit fuzzy.
I think 50 lost a watch in one of those fights or something, too. There was something weird. Like, I think that's where the watch...
Ja lost the watch and 50 got the watch back in exchange for a chain or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, so... I don't know.
No. Maybe it's the other way. No. Yeah, I think Ja's chain got taken and 50 got it back in exchange for a watch. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what takes that from that level of 50's taken? 50, I guess, is jealous of Ja Rule, right? He's talking down to him. He's, whatever. You might take it as jealousy. You might take it as competition.
Yeah.
It gets violent where people, throwing, fists at each other. How it gets to the level where McGriff goes out searching for 50 all over the place trying to kill him is, how does it go from there to there is amazing. So I don't know what might have happened between 50 and McGriff, but obviously 50 is a target. He knows he's a target. If you look at the two-way pager records that we found, historical records, you'll see people, unknown people, saying 50's on Guy Brewer and 155th or wherever. So they were out looking for him. And so Kenneth McGriff, Chauncey Milliner, whose street name was Godby, Rob Lyons, whose street name was Son or Rob Love, they go to 50's grandmother's house and wait for 50, and the rest is history. They shoot him up, and they flee. They take the car to Brooklyn. They give the car to an associate of the Supreme team and tell him to hide it. And years later, we actually found that car too. He hid it by parking it in a parking garage, and then the city marshals took it for unpaid whatever, and we actually found that car had traps in it and everything else. And so 50 miraculously survives that, and that story is corroborated. So,
okay, so
by who?
But number one, there was always these rumors that
Who corroborated the
Supreme
story,
was
man?
actually 50's real father and stuff like that. No truth in that. Okay, I didn't think so, but
one thing I heard is that 50 was tight with a drug dealer from Long Island, and I forget the guy's name, and it always bothered McGriff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Herb
true or
did some
not.
real
And then
work.
he kind of, when McGriff would come around the hood, he wouldn't suck up to him. He would just kind of like.
Y'all gotta remember, back in this time, like when they wasn't floating around fake paperwork. That fake paperwork shit. That's some new stuff that's going on. I remember Eric Gotti dropping paperwork on 50 back then, but it was about a protective order.
And I think it left a bad taste in McGriff's mouth, and once the stuff with Ja started, whatever. But there has to be more to it to go from fighting in the street to
Hit that like button, y'all.
setting up the guy to kill him. I mean, so how many more incidents were there? Did McGriff tell him to knock it off and he told him to go fuck himself? I don't know. But to murder a guy, to try to murder a guy over stuff like that is just insane, stupid,
What about 50's mother? Because she was in the streets as well and she got killed. Was she working for Supreme at one point?
I used to know the story. I don't think it was Supreme. I think it might have been like Cat or one of those guys.
Huh.
I don't think it was Supreme.
Okay.
The area doesn't make sense for it to be Supreme, but who knows?
Richard,
Hey,
I
yo,
try
my
comes out.
manager wouldn't be putting out a protective order on nobody without my consent. You understand what I'm saying? If that's his manager, that's similar to like somebody getting their mother to tell for him. You feel me? Like I wouldn't allow my mother to tell for me. You understand what I'm saying? 50 Cent pays his manager, which means that if I don't want you to put out an order of protection because it's going to fall down on me, then you're not putting out an order for protection on nobody. That makes sense to people? You know how some people try to tell through their mother and shit? No, I ain't gonna say nothing, but I tell my mother and she tell the police. It's the same type of concept, man.
It becomes massive. Yeah, goes platinum, huge songs. 50 Cent becomes a superstar. Yeah, and he's now touring around
Because
promoting
basically,
the
because this you gotta understand. Basically, right? If that's 50 Cent manager, which means that him and 50 Cent is, they like this. And there's an order of protection against them from the manager. That means order of protection against you too, right? I mean, do that make sense to people? Am I geeking? If you my manager, that means I'm spending a lot of time with you. You got to order protection against these people. But I'm with you all the time. So that order of protection would qualify. I would be protected under that order when we together, right? Or let me know. Isn't that how I go? That's why I wouldn't even allow that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in the streets and we got this active beef and I'm standing on it, you with me, you can't put out no order of protection. Because that's going to fall back on me. Let me know, because that's how I look at it. No, you ain't just hear what I said. Y'all making excuses. I know he his own man, but you're managing me. I pay you. You don't pay me. I pay you. You understand what I'm saying? Your order of protection is going to fall back on me. Y'all don't think he hired that 50 before he did that? Before the manager filed order of protection, you don't think he ran that cross 50, who's a gangster rapper, who's supposed to live by the code? Y'all think he just went rogue? Y'all think he just went rogue and just filed order of protection? Man, fuck no, man. Man, now it's a studio engineer. We're going to get to the bottom of it for this live over.
album. And right around 2003, an informant tells you that there's a hit out on 50 Cent. Yeah. Who put the hit out?
That's a good question. It wasn't said. It was never said who exactly wanted the hit done, but it would have been coming through McGriff. One of the names mentioned was this guy Tyran Moore. He was a member of the Supreme Team. I don't know if that's true or not, but he apparently, it was said that he turned it down. And person I know said that it's out there, and I was mentioned in it as a possible candidate to do it, and I just want you to know I don't want any part of this, whatever.
How much money was on 50's head?
I don't remember. I want to say it was something like $50,000 or something silly like that. Now it doesn't mean it was true. You know what I mean? But it seemed a possibility to us based on the information we had. So we all went out to the House of Blues. It was myself, one of my sergeants, and a team that we worked with for the LA Sheriffs, their Major Crimes Bureau. We did all our stuff with them. Detective Mark Gaiman from Major Crimes there. We did all the Haitian Jack stuff together. We go there, and the security for 50 Cent has this elaborate security plan. They like land in some airport in Santa Monica. They motorcaded up to House of Blues, and we're all up and hanging out in the foundation room and the upper level up there watching the show. And you know, it was it was like history. There was hip hop history right there that night. You know, yeah. Then they got whisked out of there, right back to the airport on the jets, and they were out of town. But what was funny is right after the show, I'm taking a leak, and who comes into the men's room next to me but Haitian Jack. And he's like, Billy, Courtney, how you doing? He's laughing, he's nudging me with his shoulder. And I'm like, fucking like, I don't even know what to say. So walk out of the bathroom, we're walking around, we're talking to some of the members of law enforcement are there. We're all drinking in the foundation room, essentially. And I come back out and I see Haitian Jack talking to Chris Lighty and James Cruz. And they turn and look at me like, holy shit, like they didn't know what to do. And Jack's looking, and Jack doesn't seem to care because, you know, whatever. But, you know, that was what I think was like the last of the extortion days, you know, guys like Jack feeling free to come up to people and all, like big money tour. A lot of record company money behind it, a lot of lavish stuff going on, parties and all that. That was like the end of that era of big, you know, corporate money involved in music and guys like Jack and the way hip hop had basically run for.
I believe Irv Gotti, man. I ain't gonna lie. That like button, y'all.
How much do you think of that case was because 50 Cent was sort of amplifying your situation?
That's piece of Irv Gotti, man.
Because I remember he was on...
Because you're Vlad, I've waited all this time to give you this. I'll give you the answer.
Okay.
But, you know, if you talk to me about 50 in this case, I'm going to say he been talking to the police. He's been talking. And I'm not saying I think he hello? Yeah, this Curtis. I think he does that. I think he does that. He's a very unique individual because here's a guy who starts beef and pretends that he is the bully and the roughest, toughest nigga on the face of the earth. Right? And then he tells on you. It's like the biggest oxymoron and the biggest mind-fucking trickery to the public. With, you know, those that don't know think this guy's ill and he's tough. But when you look at it, and please, 50, if you're looking, he asked the question. I don't give a fuck about talking about you. And I know you'll make a meme. Go ahead, make a meme or some shit, right? But he's fooled the world.
Well, I mean, I remember...
He says, we're pussy. And I'm soft and pussy. But he's the one that got shit done to him. And how are we pussy? Like, when you think about that, we're pussy. You're the one that got touched. But, you know, my man says it all the time. Yeah, 50 don't want beef. He wants everyone to go to jail. Jimmy Henchman, like they roughed up his son.
Yeah.
Right. So when he takes care and does what any man would do who touches his son or whatever, and these guys is telling.
Now, why the fuck did they beat up his son though, yo? Like, what type of, like, his son was a kid, yo. Like, they really beat up that man's son? A kid? He was a juvenile. I don't think his success worried him to death, yo. I think he got sick.
They calling and telling. They calling and telling. So, you know, if we talk conspiracy theory, we're just talking conspiracy theories, right? But if you get shot, what's going to happen?
If I get shot?
If you get shot, what do you think is going to happen?
I would go to the police.
No, what I'm saying is they're coming to you. when you're in your bed, shot the fuck up. I think the police and the feds came to him. And I think he told them a great story of Irv Gotti and Kenneth Supreme McGriff. And I think he's been telling them stories. I think he still tells them stories, which kind of probably makes him feel untouchable because he's with the police. So he could beef with anybody. He's with the police.
Well, I think the most interesting thing, and I'm going to leave, the other stuff is between y'all, but I think from the outside looking in, the fact that he would make fun of Ja Rule for singing, but he really made a lot of his career by singing
Engine of
and being
chaos.
melodic.
It's an engine of chaos. Certain people say, you get shot here, right? He got shot in his mouth. You like, that's inches, right?
I think so too, Niche.
This is just me talking, everybody. It's not a thing, but who saved him? People be like, God. Your first thing is, God saved this guy. Maybe the devil, maybe Satan saved him. Because he's a great engine of chaos. I don't think God would save somebody who moves like that. I don't think God would save somebody who disrespects his own family and is just everything you think of 50 is just negative. He's just an engine of negativity, beef, chaos. Sounds like he's with Satan to me, man. I think, Satan was like, I'm going to use you. You're going to be great for me. Satan is the angel of music. You know the story of Satan?
Satan is the angel of music?
Satan was an angel.
Well, I know he was an angel.
He got banished.
A fallen angel.
Right. He got banished because he thought he was bigger than God. And he banished him to hell. I know about this because a segue is I have a movie with Paramount that I'm making. Thank you, Paramount and Bob Backish. And it's the story of a rapper who sells his soul to the devil to gain the heights of fame and fortune.
Are you saying the story is
about
50? Okay.
No, it's not about 50 at all.
Okay, got it.
It's just a dope story.
Irv Gotti was dead raw for going to a Nori platform. It's saying what he was saying about Ashanti. He was out of line for that shit. Has Jimmy Henchman never talked about 50? Jimmy Henchman talks about 50 Cent. No. Jimmy Henchman talks about 50 Cent. Oh, here we go, that dumbass shit. Let's find out. Jimmy. I did a video on Jimmy Henchman a long time ago. A couple years back. I don't think Jimmy Henchman ever even said nothing about the dude. Crown Court TV did something. Who was that? Williams testified. Let's listen to this real quick. Then we're going to wrap it up after this. We're going to speed it up. Tough Stewart testifies about what really started G and the beef, an incident at Hot 97. See the Crown Court TV. This is probably one of the first YouTube pages I was watching. It's crazy he's still only at 131K. But this is probably one of the first YouTube pages I was watching, y'all. Like, literally. Crown Court TV. They covered the Montana trial. And I knew a couple people that was involved in that trial. Montana Barnett.
So what was your understanding in the early years? Now let's talk 02, 03. What was your understanding of what Jimmy's job was at Henchman? He was the owner of the company, and I guess to find and break artists, produce records. What did you observe him doing in that capacity? Having meetings, scouting talent?
Who is
Did you
Tough
participate
Stewart?
in any of those meetings?
Hold on, let's find out who Tough Stewart is first. Who is he though? Alright, so this one is Jimmy Henchman's people. Who was the witnesses in Jimmy Henchman murder trial?
Khalil Abdullah, Brian McClade, and Muhammad Stewart. According to allhiphop.com, as witnesses for the prosecution, Khalil Abdullah, Brian McClade, and Muhammad Stewart told the jury that Henchman ordered them to engage in violent acts against 50 Cent and his G-Unit crew. Also read, Jimmy Henchman murder trial begins with prosecutors tying in 50 Cent / Game beef.
Hey yo, them boys is applying pressure. I can see 50 telling. Look, he testified that Henchman ordered him and others to engage in violent acts against 50 Cent. Another guy, Brian McCloy, he claimed Henchman offered him $30,000 to ambush G-Unit associates, Lodi Mac Fletcher. William Stewart, he admitted to shooting at various locations, stalking 50 Cent and other G-Unit individuals. Man, 50 fuck around did tell on that boy, man. It's the fuck. Man, Jimmy Henchman was applying pressure to that man, man. He couldn't take it. Couldn't beat him. Y'all know how that shit go. Y'all know how it go, y'all. You can't beat them. You don't want to join them. You're not allowed to join them. What you do? Get them out the way. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that them boys didn't tell. Once, you know, once the oven was on fire. I'm saying what jump-started the investigation. They made the motherfucking house catch on fire.
What artists did you observe him working with? Period or early on that time? Let's first talk early. Back then I used to see him a lot with Wyclef. Not many back then. Just his own independent artists he was trying to break. Sharisa later on in the future, stuff like that. Now, did you continue spending time around Jimmy and his music management company? Yes. Until what year? Till about 2009. What were some of the other artists you saw Jimmy working with? Mario Winans, Brandy, The Game, Smitty, Sharisa, many different artists. And did you come to have some role in Jimmy's company?
It's a video
Somewhat.
that I'm trying to find. I seen it. I wonder if I saved it. And the guy said that the investigation into Jimmy Henchman didn't start until after 50 got shot. Oh shit, Hillary Clinton. I ain't gonna be able to find that shit, because I don't even know how long ago that was. I seen that. Wasn't that long ago. We gotta go to Hillary Clinton deposition, y'all, before we end the live. I ain't gonna be able to find it. Yeah, I ain't gonna be able to find it. Hit that like button, y'all. Yeah, Tupac definitely was screaming his name. So y'all know Hillary Clinton got deposed today about Epstein. You gotta check that out. This is what she had to say.
Right there, she says she never met Jeffrey Epstein.
Now this is hilarious, y'all. Because she's trying to paint this narrative that she wanted her deposition hearing to be public. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. Yeah, this is all just one big play, y'all. Nobody really wants to get to the bottom of Jeffrey Epstein and these victims. Not the Democrats or the Republicans. But since it's beneficial, the Democrats are going to use this as a tool to try to get back in office. But Epstein has been around or been accused of committing crimes since 2008. There's been 4 presidents since 2008 all the way up until now. They had ample enough time, the Democrats and Republicans, that if they really wanted the public to have full transparency about Jeffrey Epstein, that either one of them presidents, Bush, Obama, Clinton, Trump, Biden, not Clinton. Not Clinton, but Biden, Obama, Bush, or Trump could have released these files to the world. So this is all one big play, y'all.
As fully as I could.
We're going to take you now to Chappaqua, New York, where Hillary Clinton is speaking about her deposition with lawmakers earlier today. Let's take a listen.
As fully as I could, based on what I knew, and what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
Yo, I don't believe none of these people that was close to Jeffrey Epstein on any capacity. Fuck even close. I don't believe that none of these people that's in this elite club of politicians and multi-millionaires that they was totally unaware, oblivious that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking children. Ain't no way, yo. People talk. And if he doing something like that, you think that shit ain't going around in these circles? Man, get the fuck out of here, man. Nah, I ain't stupid. Man. Like, you couldn't pay me to believe that. The way people talk and the way word travels, ain't no way you ain't know. If you knew Ghislaine Maxwell in any capacity, you knew what she was involved in.
It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself. We had asked for that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking. We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand, and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements. So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get assurances that no rules would be broken going forward. Look, and we returned to answer questions.
Look, listen to what she just said. She just said that she wanted full transparency. She wanted a public hearing. But somebody broke the rules. So if she really wanted a public hearing, she would have been satisfied or pleased that somebody broke the rules. Listen to her again.
Gather whatever information they are seeking. We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand, and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements. So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get assurances that no rules would be broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was...
Yo, that shit ain't bogus. Yo, they reference pizza in the Epstein files. They reference pizza in the Epstein files. Talking about how much they enjoyed the pizza and shit like that. Like, it's crazy how for years, you know, they've been saying this was a conspiracy and there's no truth to this, but them Epstein files, yo, basically stamps what a lot of people was already believing anyway. That's why I don't really dive too deep. Like, I don't fall for the conspiracy theorist narrative. You know, that's everything. That's just something they use to discredit what's more than likely going on. Oh, it's just a conspiracy. No, hell no. That should make more sense than a lot of the so-called facts that they try to feed us. Some of these conspiracies, you know, so-called conspiracies, make more sense than the so-called truth. You understand?
Propagated on the internet that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. So I can only say that the best exchange that I had came at the very end, when, contrary to every other deposition they have taken, no Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner. And when I said that, I had to point out that the only questions that any Republican member asked of any of the people they deposed was of former Attorney General Bill Barr, when Chairman Comer asked him about the allegations, in his view, about Russia's involvement in my election in 2016. So at the very end of this hearing, after I made that point, I want to commend Chairman Comer for raising a series of significant questions that I responded to about the nature of the investigation and the areas that I thought should be explored. So I appreciated that. I want to see the truth come out. So that was a reassuring way to end a very long, repetitive deposition.
Madam Secretary, you spoke in your opening remarks about how heartbroken you have been for the Epstein survivors as these files have come out. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you have processed and reacted to...
Listen to the questions. What kind of question? Like, oh, fuck that question. This is how you know it's all a play. You know, you asking softball questions that's geared toward her innocence. Yo, we don't know if she's innocent or not. Listen to this question again, y'all.
Survivors as these files have come out. Madam Secretary, you spoke in your opening remarks about how heartbroken you have been for the Epstein survivors as these files have come out. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you have processed and reacted to the fact that the former president, your husband, Bill Clinton, is referenced in the Epstein files numerous times, including in some photos featuring women? And how have you been personally preparing for the deposition that is coming tomorrow? Are you 100% confident that there isn't anything that the former president knows about Epstein's crime?
I am, and I think the chronology of the connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about Epstein's criminal activities came to light, and that he was charged and sadly given a sweetheart deal, which, as I said in my...
Everybody tried to disassociate with the man after 2008. So, yo, he died in what, 2019, 2018? So, in this 10-year time frame when everybody's supposed to cut him off, how was he surviving, yo? Because if you listen to everybody's testimony, after 2008, they was done with him. Everybody. Like, he had no friends after 2008, y'all. Like, this shit is crazy, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Statement. Had that not happened, perhaps his predatory behavior could have been stopped earlier. But I think it is fair to say that the vast majority of people who had contact with him before his criminal pleas in 2008 were like most people. They did not know what he was doing. And I think that that is exactly what my husband will testify to tomorrow.
Do you believe this was a fair hearing, and do you still want to testify publicly, even though you gave this deposition?
Oh, I'm not going to do it again. They had a chance.